What's up, guys? Today we're doing something different. I'm not playing games. I'm actually going to be teaching some lessons. Okay, we're going to do 3 lessons. One of them is related to tactics. One of them is related to the end game. And then the third one is kind of an entire game that we're going to look at where you're going to just see a bunch of cool stuff that happens throughout the game. Okay, so it kind of hits all phases of the game. Okay, we're going to start with the tactics first, though, and then we'll do the end game, and then we'll do that other game at the end. And if you like these lessons that you're about to see, these are very similar to what's in my course, Breaking 1500. Now, they're not exactly the same. So even if you already have the course, you're still going to learn something. And even if you don't get the course, you're still going to learn something, okay? But they are very similar. So just keep that in mind. The course closes tonight, closes in a couple of hours. So this is kind of my last stream and last time I'm going to be mentioning this for a while, all right? So let's go ahead and jump right in here. And I'm going to pin this comment in case you need that. Let me go ahead and pin this, and then we'll just jump right in. Okay, that's pinned. All right, let's get started. So what we're talking about here in lesson number 1 is the mating net tactic. Now, a mating net is not really an exact tactic. It's more of a concept, okay? It's like when your opponent's king ends up in a certain section of the board where it's kind of trapped. I don't mean like trapped like a checkmate. I just mean like it's sort of stuck in an area of the board. A lot of times that's a signal of like, wait a second, I might have a mating net. And if you have a mating net, all you have to do is figure out, okay, how can I increase the pressure and deliver a piece to, or bring a piece to deliver checkmate, essentially, is what it comes down to. Okay. So in this position right here, it is white's turn. And white plays the move, king to h4. By the way, this was a bad move. Okay. They should have retreated the king somewhere back here. But instead they go king h4. And I want you to notice the pawn on h6, the rook over here, and then these pawns. Look how the king is kind of stuck in this area of the board, right? That's a clue that like, wait a second, this might be a mating net, right? There's not a lot of pieces that are defending the king, and the king just doesn't have an escape route, essentially. Okay, so that should be your first signal. Hey, I think this is a mating net. So the question is, how do we take advantage of this as black? Okay, this one's relatively easy. I wanted to start off with kind of an easy example, but if you guys want to think about that, what do you think the move is here for black? Well, the answer is g5. And it's almost checkmate right away. Actually, if white were to simply take, you would just have checkmate, okay? Because the rook is defending and the rook is defending here. But there's en passant, right? And white simply takes your pawn, okay? However, we can replace that piece with the knight also delivering check. Now, it's not checkmate yet. The king goes here, but notice the king is still kind of stuck in this area of the board. The only potential escape square is here, so all we have to do is bring the rook over, and it's checkmate, okay? Look at that, look at that, look at that. So that's an example, okay? That's one example of what a mating net looks like. Relatively straightforward, and this is important too when you're playing from the other side. White didn't have to go there. So when you're trying to decide, okay, where do I want to move my king to, a lot of times you want to avoid somewhere that looks like it could be a mating net, right? White should have played king f2, and they're actually totally fine. Black is the one who's about to get checkmated now from white's rooks. Okay, so if white just simply did that, they're going to win the game. Okay, so that's what a mating net is. And now what we're going to do is go through a bunch of examples, and they're going to kind of increase in difficulty that all have a mating net idea, but in a different way. Okay, so let me jump to the next example here. And these will start off easy and get more difficult as we go along. All right, so in this position, black plays the move h takes g4. It is now our turn. If you want to stop and think for a minute, what should we play here as white? Daniel, Matthew, Lars, Alex, Philip, what's going on? Ian, Wyatt, hey, good to see you guys. Andrew, what's up? You just joined the course. Awesome. Great to hear it. All right, guys, so if you had a chance to think through that, the move is rook to c6 check. And what I want you to pay attention to is look at the king. Notice how it doesn't have anywhere to run back here. It doesn't really have anywhere to run up here because of our king. It's kind of only over here, but also notice how the pawns are set up. This is kind of a key part of mating nets. When the pieces are set up in a configuration where it sort of just makes this wall, right? That's important, okay? And that's part of the mating net here. So it's worth it for us to sacrifice our rook, because after this check, black could block with the rook. It doesn't really change anything because we just take it. That means nothing. Okay, so they could sacrifice the rook if they want. They don't have to. But the key part is when they go here, again, the wall that I was talking about, we simply bring the rook over. It also defends our pawn and is checkmate, right? It's a mating net. So it's worth sacrificing the rook. Okay, so that's the idea. And we can see the king is trapped in this section of the board. Okay? What's up, Rob? Good to see you here. Hey, Simon. Hey, Kyle. Hey, Kurt. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Let's jump to another example. Slightly more difficult, but not too bad here. So in this position, black plays the move bishop to e2. And if you want to kind of think through here, what should we play as white? All right, so if you had a chance to think about that, what you'll notice is the king is stuck in the corner. Our queen is controlling this square, and the pawns are here, so it doesn't have a lot of options. Also, this pawn, believe it or not, it's kind of important because sometimes when things happen, the king maybe starts running, it's nice to have pawns or other pieces that are kind of controlling squares that might be escape routes for the king, okay? And so with all that in mind, the move is knight to g6 check. All right, now obviously the king can't move. We already talked about that, so they do have to take us. And what that does is open up the h file. Now, it's not quite that simple because after we go rook h4, it looks like checkmate at first glance, right? But it's not. Black has this bishop here, and they play bishop to h5. And so now we still have to figure out what do we do now. So if you want to kind of stop again and think through, this is another somewhat critical moment in the puzzle. Hey, thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's crazy. 500K is crazy. All right, so a couple of people are saying the wrong move, and a couple of people are saying the right move. So, all right, let's talk about it. G4 looks like a good move, but it's not. It's not the correct solution, okay? The correct solution is actually taking here. And notice when we take here, we are sort of, again, creating this mating net, right? The king is just totally stuck. And because of that, this is just the simple threat of checkmate. It's also pinned, and there's really nothing that the black can do about that, right? Even if you go here with your rook, we still just take it, force this, and this also leads to a checkmate. Now, this gets a little bit complicated. We'll come back to this in just a second. This is actually, I was trying to go in order of difficulty, but this is a low-rated puzzle, but it's actually a bit more difficult. Anyway, let's go back here for a second. G4 looks like a good move, right? Because it's pinned, you want to attack it. The problem is, even if you take this next move, there's no check, and it gives black time to do stuff, essentially, right? So for example, let me see what the best move is here. Yeah, rook e5 for black is the best move, and because you don't have a follow-up check, now you're going on the defensive. You have to deal with this threat to your queen. You don't have time to take this. So let's just say you go queen c4, trying to keep the diagonal, but black can just trade, and even if you go on the offensive, let's see, there's a nice move here. Yeah, queen takes e4, and black is the one who's checkmating you. So this is important. In this particular position, black actually has some threats. So it's important that we do it in the right way. There are other puzzles, which we'll see in just a second, where sometimes you can kind of get away with some of these moves, like g4, where your opponent doesn't have a way to counterattack. Okay, but in this case, that's not going to cut it. So f takes g6 is the solution. And like I said, rook to e5, we actually just take here, and this also leads to checkmate. Now, this is not that difficult, but it's worth pointing out. You would come in with check, force the king over. You would come down with check. You would take here, and you kind of still have a mating net. If you go here, checkmate. And if you go here, it's kind of like a new puzzle. So I don't expect you to have seen all of that. Let's just kind of restart and pretend like, okay, here's a new puzzle. It's now your turn. What do you play? C. Smith, first time seeing me live. Hey, glad you're here. All right, so if you had a chance to look at that, again, we kind of see the same thing with this mating net idea where the queen is cutting off the escape squares here. There's pawns on the side. We have this up here. There's sort of only one escape route, okay? And so in this position, you actually have to start with the check. And again, it goes back to what I was saying. You don't have time to do this slow move of trying to cut it off this way because it gives time to black. They can now play something defensive. They can check you, and they can maybe play queen D7 or rook D7. So you want to go with the check. Queen F7 check, king goes here. It's queen D5, I guess queen or rook check, king F4, queen F5. We're chasing the king around, and then queen F3 leads to the checkmate. So this one was kind of advanced. Actually wasn't planning on showing that entire line, but I figured why not? The real mating net kind of happened earlier when you captured here. This was sort of the main part of the puzzle, but that's it. And okay, let's keep going. That one was actually more difficult than I intended it to be, but sometimes that happens with the chess.com puzzles. All right, here's another one. And white en passant the pawn with d takes e6. It's black to move. What do you play here? And again, keep that mating net theme in mind. Okay, well, if you had a chance to think through that a little bit, and by the way, hopefully you're like pausing the stream if you need to think longer, but what we'll notice is the bishop is cutting across here, the queen is cutting across here, and so the king is basically stuck, right? And there's pawns here, it's stuck. The problem is we don't have a way to put it in check because we can't go here because the knight just takes our queen, right? But if we could somehow put the king in check, we would be in good shape. So which pieces do we have that could do that? Well, maybe a rook. That doesn't look very good because there's two pawns. However, if you pair that with the fact that there's a bishop here and there's a queen that could go down here, you could come to the conclusion that this is the best move. And regardless of how white takes, they're going to be in trouble, right? If you take here, it opens up the queen to invade this way, checkmate. And if they take this way, the bishop comes in. Sorry, not the king. The bishop comes in. And remember, the king is stuck, right? The queen and the bishop are crisscrossing. You can't escape. The only thing you can do is throw your pieces here and delay the game a few moves. Checkmate. Okay? And so whenever your opponent's king is kind of trapped or stuck, that's usually a clue that like, hey, there might be a really nice tactic available if you can figure out how to make it work. Okay? Yeah, so some of you guys were seeing that one. Very good. Very good. All right, so that's the idea. Let's go to the next one here. All right, so here's the position, and black plays king to g7. Okay, they were in check, so they move the king up. And what do you do if you're white? I'll let you guys think about this one. Okay, well, if you had a chance to think through that a little bit, the first thing that you'll notice is the king, again, is kind of stuck behind all these pieces. The escape route here is covered by the bishop. The escape routes behind is covered by the queen. The question is, can we put the king in check? And this one, actually, when I was looking at it earlier, was a little bit tricky for me because I was sort of stuck on, like, how do I make this work to deliver the check? And in this position, you actually can't, right? The rook is not going to be able to deliver a check on the king anytime soon. I mean, even if you go here and take this, it doesn't do anything. If you go here, that doesn't cut it. There's no way. But what you can do, somebody said it in the chat. Somebody said it, I saw it, is you can sacrifice your queen on f8. This is an amazing move. And the king is trapped, so he can't run. It has to take you. But why did we do that? Because look at this. And now we create a new mating net. And by the way, this is a good pattern to have in your mind. Check with the bishop, forces the king over, and then the rook comes down for checkmate. But whenever the king is on the back rank, even if the pawn is gone, if you have a bishop slicing across, it's essentially just like a back rank checkmate. Okay? And this is a very good one to keep in mind. And you're forcing that by sacrificing your queen. You just come in for the checkmate. Okay? So very, very clever one there. And that one threw me off earlier because I was, like I said, I was stuck on trying to deliver check with the rook right away. It took me a minute before I realized that you can actually do that. So yeah, that one definitely was a little bit more tricky. All right, let's keep going. And here we go. So in this position, black plays the move rook takes b6. It is now white's turn. All right, well, if you had a chance to look at that. So this one, I think, is actually not so bad. You just have to understand a couple things. So the first of all, queen f6 check makes a lot of sense, right? Because we bring the queen close to the king. It's always a good sign. King moves here. Doesn't want to walk into something on the back rank, and so they just try to hide over here. And this is defended. And so at first glance, it looks like, wait a second, black's actually fine, right? But no, because they are actually in a mating net. Okay, our queen is positioned very nicely to where the king can't really run if we only had some support for the queen. So what do we have to do? We have to get the rook involved. How do we do it? Well, this is an interesting position in that black has no major threats on our king. Okay, this is something, the earlier puzzle that we looked at, this was not the case, right? Our king was not so safe, but now it is. So now we can literally just take our time and play the move rook to d1. Notice rook d1, not c1, because we want to come down here where it's defended by our queen, okay? We're going to play rook d1, rook d8, and checkmate. And black actually has no way to stop us, which is crazy, because they have a queen and a rook, and they just can't do anything. The rook is really badly positioned. It can't get into the game. It can't fight for control of the file because the pawn and the rook. And so there's nothing black can do. And you can't put our king in check, right? I mean, you could go here, but it doesn't really matter. We're coming down. And then the other piece of the puzzle here is, yes, there is a check here, but we just play king h2, and now there's no follow-ups, right? Because this is controlled by our queen. That doesn't work, and the rook is not helping the queen. And so this is going to be checkmate. There's no way for black to get away. You can try to do this. Doesn't help you. You can try to do this. Doesn't help you. There's just nothing to do. Unless you wanted to sacrifice your queen. That would be the only way that black kind of survives, okay? But again, going back to this idea of the king is in a mating net. So what should your thought process be? Well, how do I bring another piece to help? And in this case, it's rook d1, rook d8, rook h8. Okay? So really not that difficult. The hard part about this one is that it wasn't with checks. You had two moves in a row that were not check. So that's why this one was kind of tricky if you're only looking for checks or captures or something like that. Okay. I think I have two more for you that are a bit more difficult, or at least they're supposed to be more difficult, but we'll see. We'll see. The other one we looked at, I think, was actually pretty challenging. Let's take a look. So in this position, white plays king to c4. What do you do as black? Hey, Christian, Michael, Laura Lee, what's going on? Connor, good to see you. All right, so again, you look at the king, you look at, okay, is it trapped in a certain area of the board? And the answer is, yeah, pretty much. Look at the pawn. Look at this pawn. Look at this pawn. Notice we're seeing similar types of patterns, right? Like we saw this earlier where there was like two pawns of one color and then another pawn kind of controlling, and it made this wall. That's kind of a clue. You look at that and you look at this knight and it's like, oh yeah, I see how the king is kind of stuck there, right? And so the question is, how do we bring more pieces? So bishop e6 is the move, forces the king to move. And then again, look carefully, look at the pawns here, creating this wall. Look at the bishop controlling this, look at the knight control. You see how the king is kind of trapped. Now, what is the escape route that the king might potentially try to go for? Well, a4, a3, b2, right? That's the only way that I see that the king can get out of this jam. So we have to make sure that the next moves that we play prevent this. Okay? And so it's rook to d5. And you're swinging over here because that's going to control everything. And so we're positioning our pieces, bishops here, knights here, pawn is helping here, and now the rook is coming up to just take away all the options. Okay? That's checkmate. And there's one other move. They could have also played king to c4. And now you sort of have your choice of checkmates. You could play b5 if you want to checkmate with the pawn. You could take this if you want to checkmate with the bishop, whatever you want. Again, look at this, look at this. It's a mating net, okay? And then the bishop delivers the mate. Okay, here we go. One more. Master level 1. Same theme, mating net. Here is the position. Black plays the move d2. And what do you play as white? I'm going to give you a little bit of extra time on this one since it is the master level here. But I actually think you guys can solve this one. So just think about it from what we kind of talked about. All right. So if you guys had a chance to think about that, let's kind of just look at the king and let's think about where the mating net might be. So when you first see it, okay, bishop's controlling the pawn. There's a pawn here. This is controlling here. The rook is controlling here and here, right? So it's almost a mating net except the fact that what? Well, the king can escape in 3 different directions and all we have is a pawn. How are we going to do this? Well, we actually have more than a pawn. We have a king. And we can go right here and take away all 3 of those. And what you had to get past in this puzzle, which I think is why it was a master level one, is you have to ignore this and let black get a queen. Which is, for a lot of people, a hard thing to get past, right? You see that and you're like, ooh, what do we do? How do we stop this? Do we play bishop c2? Do we play here? Do I try to move my rook over? What do we do, right? You don't worry about it. You play king g3. It's not check. And h4 is checkmate, and it's such a powerful move. That's it. That's literally the end of the puzzle. Black can sacrifice here if they want. They can get a queen. Doesn't matter. Checkmate. They can't stop it. Okay? And so, yeah, that was it. Really, honestly, I didn't feel like that one was as hard as some of the other ones. But, like I said, you had to get past this idea of there's a pawn. Right? So, that's it. Mating net. Checkmate with the pawn. Yeah, lots of people saw that one. Nice. Nice. Very good. Okay, so that's mating nets. You had some practice. We looked at a lot of different levels there. This is what the course has an entire module on. There's like 20-something lessons where we go through tactics exactly in this format, right? So we look at interference and desperados and removing the guard and queen sacrifices and pins and forks and you name it. There's 20 lessons on different types of tactics, and they start off with the explanation, kind of like what I did. Okay, what's a mating net? How does it work? And then they go in increasing difficulty most of the time from easy, intermediate, advanced, and master. Okay, I know a lot of you guys are already in there and have said that you're enjoying that, but if you haven't seen that, that's what Breaking 1500 has in the tactics module. Okay, so if you enjoyed this lesson, you might want to check it out. All right, cool. I guess any burning questions, but then I'm going to jump into the second part of this lesson here, which is going to be an endgame lesson. Okay, so we did the tactics. Next on my list is an endgame lesson. If there's not any burning questions. Ruffle Pup, hey, thanks. Appreciate that. Michael, thank you. Hey, Kyle, we're just going until I finish these 3 lessons. So this was the first one. We're talking about tactics. Next one I have is an endgame lesson. And then the third one, I'll be going through a game, which kind of hits a bunch of different areas. And we'll just talk about some key things there. So whenever I finish that, it'll be probably the end. But, okay, well, I'm not seeing any like burning questions. So let's go ahead and jump into the next section here where we talk about an endgame lesson. All right, so what I'm going to do is bring this up here. There we go. All right. So the lesson for now is called, well, actually, I'm going to just present to you what's going on here first, and then I'll tell you what the name of this is in just a second. So white's pawn is going forward. Black's pawn is going this way. It is white to play, and your task is not lose. Your task is to not lose, okay? What do you play as white, and how do you not lose the game? You're trying to get a draw, essentially, okay? So I'm going to let you guys think about this position just for a minute, and then we will start to talk about it, okay? So, yeah, just take a minute or two. You're playing this as white. What do you play? There's only one correct move, by the way. Only one correct move here. Okay, Michael says black wins. We'll talk about his comment in just a second. He says black wins. I'm seeing a lot of king g7s. And I'm seeing a couple of king h7s. Okay. I'd resign. Shane says I'd resign. Teleport the king. Kyle has no idea. Yeah, okay. All right, very good. So most people's reaction, and this was my reaction too, is that there's no way in the world that white doesn't lose its position. There's no way, right? Because if you try to get a queen, well, that's not a very good plan. Black's just going to take it, okay? And if you try to stop the pawn, well, you good luck catching that thing. I mean, you're not even close. And you're not close to here with your king. And you need like 3-4 moves. And he's going to have a queen by the time you even get close. Or just come here and take your pawn. It literally looks like the most hopeless position for white, right? Like, you're going to lose this game if you're white. How many people would resign in this position? I probably would. I'd probably resign. Like, I'm just done. But there's something in chess. There's something in chess called the crooked path, okay? The crooked path is something that your king can do. And it makes use of the fact that the shortest distance between 2 points is not a straight line on the chessboard, okay? So in geometry, you probably learned that, like shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, right? Not in chess. So for example, if I want to go down the board and chase this pawn, I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, let's just say. I could do that, right? 6 moves. I could also go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they're both 6 moves, which is interesting, right? Crooked path. Okay, this is called the crooked path. So, what does that mean? Well, let's keep going with the position and you'll see. All right, so the move is king g7. So if everybody who said king g7, congratulations, you're correct. King g7 is the only way that white saves the position. Now, black has to make a decision, right? Black has to decide, okay, am I going to push my pawn and try to get a queen right now? Or am I going to go ahead and just take this pawn first and then push this and get a queen? And it really doesn't matter. So let's just pick one and start with it. So let's start with, I think the most obvious is like, let me just take this pawn, get rid of this pawn, and then I'll get a queen, right? So let's say they go here. They're like, okay, if you push, I'm going to take it. You can't catch me. I win. So what do we do as white? Well, we have to move our king, but where do we move it to? Crooked path. King f6, right? We go here. Now, the reason, and this is the key point in this lesson, is that we are threatening 2 things at the same time. We are threatening to get this pawn now. But we are also threatening to come over here, potentially, and help this guy. Now, some of you are probably thinking, yeah, but we're too far away. Okay, so let's keep going. If they take us, we're happy. We go here, we catch the pawn, we get a draw. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. But if they push, this is where it gets a little tricky. So what do? Well, we keep going on the crooked path. We play king e5. And you might be starting to see how this is going to end, right? You can kind of see how this is working out. And believe it or not, we are threatening to catch the pawn. So if black says, all right, I'm going to take this pawn now because the king's getting close, we say, oh, okay, well, guess what? I'm coming back here and I catch your pawn and I'm going to take it, right? It's amazing. But instead of going like this, we went like this. Okay? Pretty cool, right? Let's say black says instead, all right, no, I don't want to do that because I see that they're about to catch me and they push. What do we do? Do we go here? Do we go here? The answer is no, because we're not going to catch it and then our pawn is gone. We go this way now. We help our pawn. And yes, black can go here, but now we can push. And if they get a queen, we get a queen. Now, you might say, well, they don't have to get a queen. They can come here and stop us, right? Wrong. We go here. They can't stop us. We're going to get a queen. They have to get a queen. We get a queen. It's a draw. Okay, the game's a draw. It's amazing, right? It's absolutely incredible. So that's the idea. You threaten multiple things at the same time with the crooked path. Now let's go back to the beginning because we didn't cover the other option. when we played king g7, we just looked at what happens if the king immediately goes for the pawn. But what if black says, no, I don't want to go for that right away. I'm going to push here instead. They play h4. Well, we follow the same plan. King f6. We're still chasing it, and we're threatening to go over here. Let's say they keep pushing. They're like, nope, I'm just going to get queen right away. What do we do? This is a little bit of a tricky moment in the position, you might say, but what do we play here? Well, the answer now is you need to... I'm giving you guys a moment to think, actually. Yeah, some people are saying king e5. Some people are saying king e6. This one is kind of tricky. And the answer is now you need to go this way to help the pawn. Because if you go king e5 now, yes, you're still threatening to try to catch this guy, but you're too far away. And watch what happens. h2, you can't catch it, so now you have to go this way, right, to try to help your pawn. Because if you push right away, the king stops you. This is important. The king stops you, gets in front of you. That's not going to cut it, right? Which means you have to go here. But now, the queen, and you're too slow. You're too slow and you lose. Okay? So, instead of doing that, you go king to e6 or e7. And against the same move, now you push the pawn because look at this. When the king tries to get you, you're in time to stop them. Okay, so that was kind of the trickiest moment in the puzzle, I would say. But now black has to choose if do they let you get the queen or do they try to stop you, but you can't. You understand why if your king was here in this position, if your king was here, you couldn't get there, right? Where you need to get to. So you had to use the crooked path, but depending on which route black took, either with the king or with the pawn, you had to kind of adjust. And then in this case, you had to go here. Okay? So it's very tricky. It's very tricky. But that's it. Like that's it. That's the crooked path. It's an amazing thing, and a lot of people don't think about it at the end of the game. So this is just an example of like some of the cool stuff that I teach. This is in the Endgame module of the Breaking 1500 course. There's a couple of different Endgame lessons. This is one of them where I teach the crooked path. There's actually a different example in the course where the king uses the crooked path, but not like this. It's a different one. Same kind of theme, but you see the same idea. Okay, so if you like that, you'll probably enjoy the course, and you'll probably enjoy the Endgame module. Okay. Yeah, that's one of my favorite endgame positions, though, because like you show this position to anyone, unless they're either a very strong player or they've studied this exact concept about the crooked path, they're not going to know the answer. They're just not going to know. They're going to say, no, it's losing, right? I mean, how can you not lose this if you're white? It's amazing, right? Yeah, like one of my favorite puzzles. All right. Let me I think if there's any questions on this position, I think we covered it all, but let me just see. Was there anything unclear here? You'd still lose as white. Yeah, no, I remember the first time I saw this, I was like, no way. I didn't think there was a way. An easy way to calculate if it will work. This one, I don't know about an easy way. This one is kind of tricky because you have to be flexible. When the king gets to f6, you have to be, you have to be smart about which square you go to, right? There's not necessarily an easy way to calculate that, but just understanding the concept will get you pretty far in a position like this. Yes, black can only draw. If white plays it correctly, the best black can do is to draw the game. That's correct. Yeah, how did this position happen? Well, I think it's a composed puzzle. I don't think this was from an actual game, but maybe. I mean, maybe there was like some rooks or something that got traded and the king had to capture or something, or I don't know. Who knows? Okay, guys, we're going to move to the next lesson here, part 3. So we did the tactics earlier. If you missed that, you can go back and rewatch. We did the tactics. Now we've done the end game, and what I want to conclude with here is a game that just has a bunch of nice features in it. Okay, a bunch of nice things that we can learn. So let me pull this up here, and we're going to jump in to this game. All right. So here we go. Let's take a look. This is game from 1934. Two strong players, and we're going to see a collie system. Although it starts out with a weird move order because black plays c5 right away. But then we transpose to a collie. All right, this is a collie where white essentially sets up the pyramid like this. So it's just like the London system, except the bishop is left at home. You don't bring it out first, but you set up your pawns the same way. You put the bishop on d3, the knight on f3. Okay, and a lot of times maybe you jump in with your knight at some point. Maybe you try to play e4. Usually this knight goes here to help you. You try to play e4, and you have this guy defending, the center that way. Okay, so this is the collie. And let's keep going. Knight b to d2, bishop to d6, castles, both players getting the kings out of the center, and queen to e2. So a lot of times this is one of the best squares for the queen on e2. It adds support to the center. When you do play e4, your queen is ready to help recapture. Sometimes you can get a nice attack going there if you're able, like for example, takes, and you take with the queen. You get this queen and bishop battery. Maybe there's checkmate threats. So it's a good square for the queen. Also clears the way for the rooks to go wherever they need to. So queen e2 is a good square in the collie. All right. By the way, the Breaking 1500 course has an opening section, and the opening that I recommend is very similar to the collie, but it's different. I'll go ahead and tell you. I'll just tell you guys why not. It's the Stonewall, and it's very similar except the pawn's on f4, and it's a more aggressive version of the collie, I would say, because the pawn being on f4 allows you to do things with your rook, namely a rook lift, that you can't easily do in the collie. You can still do it. Sometimes you can move there and then later play f4, but it's nice in the Stonewall because you already have that kind of built in. So just wanted to mention that. All right, let's keep going. So black plays a move here, e5, which is kind of interesting because he mentions in the book here, by the way, this is from the book, The Most Instructive Games of Chess Ever Played by Irving Chernev, one of my new favorite authors. He has some really great books. If you're watching the Logical Chess series, you know what I'm talking about. But he mentions that e5 is one of those moves that if it works out for black, it kind of looks like a brilliant move. But if it doesn't work out, then it's like, yeah, that was a mistake. You should have done that, right? But it's a tricky move, and it could go both ways depending on what might happen, right? Because you're busting open the center, which a lot of times can be a good thing. But if you do it too early, you might get in trouble, right? So let's see how this game unfolds. White captures here and then plays the move e4. Now, you kind of have to play e4 in this situation because if you don't, black's going to play it and fork your pieces, right? And gain a bunch of space, and you're going to, if this bishop gets locked in like that, imagine if the pawn is here, like even if you did something like this, if this happens, this bishop is going to have a very hard time ever coming into the game. So white noticed that and said, no, I'm not going to wait around for that to happen. Let me play e4 right now, gain some space in the center, and this bishop is free to come out, okay? All right, so let me see what happens next here. Bishop to g4. Trades, and black decides to make this decision here to trade the bishop for the knight. Now, the general rule is don't trade your bishops for a knight unless you have a specific reason for doing so. I don't really think black had a specific reason, and I don't know why they took that knight, but I think this is the start of where they started to go downhill, okay? So just keep that in mind. They really had a pretty nice position, and then they just gave up the bishop for no reason. They had a nice pin going on there and everything, and then they just decided to trade. Couldn't tell you why, right? But that's not really a good decision. Okay, so now they take here with the queen. Maybe they just wanted to trade a bunch of pieces and go into an endgame because they're more comfortable in the endgame. I don't know. And let me see. All right, so white plays a nice move here. What would you guys play in this position? If you want to stop and think for a minute, this is a pretty good move here by white. All right, if you had a chance to think about that, the move is knight to e4. And it's a really nice move for two reasons. Number one, obviously you're letting your bishop out. Okay, when you play an opening like the collie, you don't want to leave your pieces sit there forever. It's a temporary thing you do at the start of the game, and then at some point you have to be aware of the fact that, hey, I have to get my pieces out. So white is doing that. That's one thing. The other thing is it's threatening the knight, which is pretty annoying because the knight is a really good defender of the king side here, okay? And it's actually threatening knight takes f6, which is a discovered attack on the queen. And you might say, well, black can just play rook here to defend. That's actually a crucial blunder. And now white has an amazing move, or a sequence of moves, I should say, to basically win the game. So if you want to pause here, or not pause, if you want to just think about it for a minute, what can white do? Because black has defended the queen. So what do you do here if you're white? All right, so some people said bishop g5. Bishop g5, the problem is you're not understanding that there is a threat that black has, okay? So when they bring the rook here, they're threatening your bishop. So if you play bishop g5, they're going to just take this guy. Now, yes, you can take some stuff and maybe trade, but this is threatening a queen trade, and you don't really want to do that. So that's the problem with bishop g5. The move is knight takes f6 anyway, okay? It's knight takes f6 check anyway. They have to take you because it's a fork. Have to take. And now what you can do is play check here, forces the king into the corner. You play bishop to e4. The reason you're going bishop to e4 is because you're getting away from the attack with a tempo. You don't want to trade queens because you're trying to attack, so now you play bishop to f5. And this was a little bit difficult to see, by the way, so if you didn't see all of this, don't feel bad. And then you play queen h5, and basically black has no way to stop the checkmate. So to summarize, by trading the knight on f6, you eliminate the best defender. It also messes up the pawn structure, which makes it even worse for black because they can't play a move like g6 to stop your bishop. And all you have to do now is figure out a way to get away from the threat, right? Because if you just go for checkmate now, black just takes your bishop, right? Remember, that was the threat. So that's what this whole maneuver was doing. It was like, all right, let me just figure out a way to get my bishop out of that line of fire without giving black time to do anything. So it was an attack, it was an attack, it was an attack, and then finally there's the checkmate threat, and black's pieces are not set up to stop it. Okay? So that's pretty serious, right? So going back to the position here, that's pretty serious. And so black wisely avoids that by trading the knight. Okay? That's why you can play a move like rook to d8. All right, so let's keep going. Let's see. They take there. White recaptures with the bishop. You don't really want to trade queens when you're trying to attack. And so that's why white does it that way. Also gains them a tempo. And rook to d1. Again, notice how a lot of these moves are gaining tempo. So you take here, attacks the queen. It has to move. Now you play rook d1, gains control of the file. Queen has to move. Remember, rooks should always go to open files. Open files are files with no pawns on them. So the only open file on the board right now is the d file, and white wisely takes control of that. Okay? Queen moves. And now, if you would like to pause, what's a good plan here for white? What's a good plan here for white? All right, well, I say a good plan. It's a plan. I don't know if, this is not a plan that I would have really thought about, I don't think. But what white decides to do is use the pawn, the queenside majority, the pawns over here, to gain space. Okay? So when you have an area of the board where you have more pawns than your opponent, you always want to kind of keep that in the back of your mind as like, okay, that might be an area of the board where I can use those pawns to my advantage. Now, it's especially important as the game gets closer to the end game. So that's kind of why I didn't think about it initially when I looked at this position, because I thought, well, we're still kind of in the middle game. I don't think that I would be thinking about this kind of stuff just yet, but that's what white decides to do. Now, I saw somebody say create a battery to attack the king. Good idea, and that is coming. White just decides to gain a little bit of space first, and then that comes later. So you're not wrong with some moves to attack the king, which we'll see in just a second. That's a good plan. White just decides to do it next, okay? So what they do is play b4. And I think part of the reason is they're trying to maybe relieve some of the pressure here. So they're hoping the bishop goes back to e7, and maybe that's why. Or I'm not exactly sure why they didn't just immediately go with the kingside attack. But these moves come with tempo, so that's the nice thing. And then they play a4. Okay, and this is what's called the Noah's Ark trap. If you use your pawns to create a pawn chain like this and trap someone's bishop, it's called the Noah's Ark trap. Okay, it's pretty common in like the Sicilian defense because the pawn's on c5, and then if the other pawns get rolling, the bishop can get trapped on b3 if you are familiar with the Sicilian. Anyway, that's basically what white's trying to do. And it's pretty obvious, and so black says, all right, let me just do this. White continues to gain the space, and black puts the bishop back on a7. Okay, so again, why did white decide to do that? I don't exactly know. They just wanted to gain the space on the side before they continued attacking, which I think is fine. The only thing is like maybe this could become a weakness is what I would say by doing this. However, white was so aggressive with their attack from here that black never had a chance to really attack that. So yeah, that's basically what's going on there. All right, let's keep going here. Let me see what I wrote down. So yeah, white plays the move queen to h3 now, which kind of goes with what some of you guys were saying earlier about attacking the king. Now, why did they choose h3 as opposed to, let's just say, f5 or h5? I don't think there's anything wrong with these other ones. In fact, Stockfish likes f5 best, but let's see what's wrong with h5. Oh, okay. f5 is an interesting move. Yeah, because if you play f5, you can't take with the queen because the rook, if you take here, you walk into a fork. And I guess, yeah, it's getting kind of interesting. But if this happens, black's going to be very happy because queen can defend. So that's one thing. Okay, so that's probably why, now that I'm actually looking at this with Stockfish, I guess that's the idea. Queen h3 avoids some of the attacks from the pawns, right? Because now if they play f5, you just simply take it. And there's no fork. Okay, so queen h3. Making use of all the different ways to attack the king. So black decides to play the move g6. Now, we need to stop and talk about what happens if they play h6. Here's a good moment for you guys to think a little bit. What should you do here as white if this is the position? Okay, imagine you're playing this game, your opponent plays h6. How do you proceed? Okay, I'm seeing a lot of good answers in the chat, and I think most of you are right on. Yeah, a lot of times when the knight has been removed and you're attacking the king, if you've got the bishop sitting back there and you have the opportunity to sacrifice it, 9 times out of 10, it's a good idea, right? Because the king is going to be left totally helpless, and it's just a really good trade, right? So that's exactly the move. And after they take, this is the tricky part. What should you do now? Well, the move is actually rook to d7 is what the line given in the book here. And yes, you could just take the pawn and you would be fine. But there's something really nice about this, because now you make the queen move. Now you can go for the checkmate. And instead of taking, he goes here. Let me see, actually, what is the reason? I don't think it matters. I think you could really take here or here. In the book, he lists this move, but really either one's fine. You're threatening checkmate, and here's the important part. If the rook tries to move to allow the king to escape, it doesn't matter. You still have checkmate, okay? If you didn't play rook d7, and you simply went for like this, I believe the issue is that now the king escapes, okay? The king escapes. Yes, you could go check, or you could take this, but the king is going to run, and the game goes on. So, throwing in this in-between move here of rook to d7 basically just brings another piece, which helps you prevent the king from escaping. Okay, so that's the idea. A little bit complicated, but, you know, very high-level move there, rook to d7. All right, so, but yes, everybody who said bishop takes h6, you are correct, and yeah, in a lot of cases, you could just do this and you would just win. You wouldn't even have to play this rook here. And I think this is still a winning position. I think there's another move that Stockfish finds. Let me see, what is it? Rook d3. Why is that a winning move? Let's see what happens here. I actually don't know this myself. Bishop h7 check. Ah, you take it with check. And then, yeah, you're just going to bring your rook over, probably up like this. And that's a different way. Maybe something like that. Rook here, here, over something. I don't know. All right, let's go back to the game. Getting a little bit sidetracked here. But everybody who said bishop takes h6, you are correct. Now, In the game, black didn't do that. Okay, they saw that. They're like, nope, I don't want to walk into that. They played g6 instead. However, g6 creates its own problems, right? Look at these dark squares, and look at this bishop, which, by the way, is on the other side of the board because of this pawn push. Now, is this what white was thinking about when they forced the bishop over here? I don't know, but maybe, right? Because if you go back to this position, if you play something like queen h3 and black plays g6, the bishop is in position to come over here and defend, right? Somehow come back here and you defend these dark squares with the bishop. So maybe that's what white was thinking. The book doesn't say that, but that would make a lot of sense in my mind. You say, oh, let me play b4, see what the bishop is going to do, because it could still go back there. But if it goes this way, and I'm able to just sort of force it into the corner over here almost, now I'm much more happy with my queen h3 idea, because guess what? After g6, look at these dark squares, right? Look at this. Bad news. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And I'm just figuring that out myself as I'm going through this. But all right, let's keep going. So g6. White, let me see. Is this a moment where I want you guys to pause again? Let's see. No, not yet. So bishop h6, very obvious move. You bring the bishop in, you attack the rook, you gain control of these squares. Okay. Black plays the rook over to fight for control of the file. And this is maybe a tricky moment. What would you guys play here? I guess we could talk about this for just a second. Well, the move that white decides to play is queen to f3. Now, why would they go there? Well, when you look at the position, you want to identify the major weaknesses. And the major weakness that I see is the dark squares. We already talked about it. So queen f3 is threatening to go here and checkmate the king. That's it. You went here, you forced a weakness, great. Now the queen can kind of be done with that, and we're going somewhere else. It's that simple, right? So black decides to trade and bring the rook over. Now this, believe it or not, actually defends against queen f6. Because if you go there now, black says, thank you very much, checkmate. Game is over, right? So it's a weird way, but it is defending, okay? And if white decides to trade, again, you know, you're also controlling that. You're also threatening to come down here. And so black is noticing the threat and basically dealing with it, okay? So at this moment, okay, yeah, not yet. At this moment, white says, I'm going to just block that off. I'm going to block that off so I don't have to worry about the back rank here. I'm again threatening to come in and checkmate. And at the same time, I'm adding a new threat. So notice how white is accomplishing multiple things all at the same time, right? This is what good moves usually do. You block the rook, you centralize the bishop, and you create a new threat all at the same time. Also, it pins the pawn. It also pins the pawn, which might be useful in some situations as well, okay? So black plays queen to e7, trying to, again, stop this idea, right? And so what do you do now as white? Here is an interesting moment in the game. Hey, Belle, this is from the most instructive games of chess ever played. This is the book. It's an older book. It's got old school notation, so just a warning if you're going to go buy the book, but it is a fantastic book. Some really nice games in here. All right. Somebody says sack everything. Fork with the bishop. Okay, I'm not sure what you mean by fork with the bishop. Sacrifice everything. Okay. Queen and rook. Oh, so I think some people are talking about this move. Okay. Yeah, you can't go there because nothing. Actually, I see your point. So your idea is you want to lure the queen away and then take here. The problem is you don't have a follow-up. Good idea. That's a good idea, though. But you don't really have a follow-up. I mean, yeah, I guess you could try to take this, but yeah, it's just not good enough. Black's actually the one who sacrifices and checkmates you. So good try, but it's not good enough. This is a very, very powerful bishop, by the way. So to just give it up for free, you really have to have a checkmate or something to follow that up, okay? All right. White decided to play h4. h4. It's kind of going along with the move bishop g5, right? because you're threatening to go there now. But also, you're dealing with, remember all the different lines I was just showing you where black checkmated white? Guess what? Not anymore. So you fix that problem. You threaten bishop g5. And number 3, you're threatening to come here if you need to and just add more firepower to the attack. So really nice move. And again, we're seeing this theme, right? Where white is playing these moves that are doing like 2 or 3 things all at the same time. That's how you know you found a good move when you're like trying to figure out what to play. Ask yourself, does my move accomplish multiple things at the same time? And if the answer is yes, then that's good, right? A lot of times what beginners do is they just think about one threat. Like, okay, I'm going to go here and attack the queen. Let me move it. Okay, I'm going to go here and you really want to scan the board, find all the different things that are going on and find one move that hits multiple aspects, right? That's where the really powerful moves come. Okay, so h4. Great move, all right? So black plays pawn to e4, trying to get a little bit tricky and not really give white time to do what they're trying to do, right? They're just saying, look, let's stir up something here, right? So what do you play here if you're white? It's your turn. What should you do? Any ideas? Someone says bishop takes f7 and rook takes d8. Okay. We'll talk about that in just a second. I see a pretty good suggestion. I see a couple of good suggestions. I see somebody say take with the queen. Okay, we're going to talk about that as well. Queen e3, Botez. Yeah, nope, don't want to go there. All right, so let's talk about some of these options. Somebody said bishop takes f7, and then you want to take here. The problem is the rook is defended by the knight as well. So I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to deflect the queen away, which is a nice idea. Deflection is a good tactic. We talk about that in the course, but the knight is defending, so it doesn't work. Okay, if you do that, they just take you. It's a good try. Somebody else said take here with the queen. This was a trap. This was a trap that black was setting. And the problem is, remember, this guy's lined up and there's nothing defending your rook now. So they simply take and you lose a rook. Okay? And on a similar note, if you would have taken this with the bishop, you're also going to get into trouble because after this happens, you have to recapture, but then your bishop is no longer defended and you lose a piece that way. Okay? So you got to be really careful, especially when big pieces are lined up like this. Really, really be careful about the tactics before you start grabbing pawns like that, okay? So I think some people are saying it. The best move and what was played is just queen f4. And basically white is saying, look, this is where I have pressure. I have an attack here. I have the threat of going to f6 if the queen ever leaves. And so I'll just move it up, right? I just keep my threats, basically. Still threatening this, still threatening to attack some more. The ball's back in black's court, and what are they going to do now? Okay, so queen f4, very, very nice move there. All right, let me see what else is going on here. So black plays bishop back to b8, and now we have a really interesting moment in the position. And he mentions here that the position is tricky, and there's a couple of moves that white has to be careful about playing. So what would you guys play? I mean, you tell me, what would you play here? Any ideas for how to proceed? Okay, I see. Yeah, Connor says queen g5. Okay. I see bishop takes f7. Okay. Yeah, bishop takes f7 again. Okay, lots of people are saying bishop takes f7. All right. Queen e3. Yeah, you could probably just drop the queen back. I think that's not a terrible move. It's not what was played in the game. Some people are saying bishop g5. Okay, let's talk about bishop g5 for a minute here, guys. So I guess my question is, what happens if they just take your queen? What is your plan, right? Yes, you can take their queen, but then they're going to take your bishop. And are you thinking that you have a tactic? Is that the idea? Because here's the thing. When you're thinking about complicated lines like this, I always try to remind myself what's the situation of the pieces as we go through the line. Okay, so for example, if they take me and I take them, well, what's the situation? They take me, I take them. Well, it's even. We just both took a queen. Okay, fine. If they take me, what's the situation? I'm down a piece. I'm down a piece. That's not a good thing. Okay, but wait a second. I have a tactic. I could take here and get the rook. Okay, but when they take me, what's the situation? Before I take the rook, I'm down 2 pieces. Okay, but I'm going to get a rook. So at the end of the day, I get a rook and a pawn, but I lose 2 pieces. Is that a good trade or a bad trade for me? If you guys have been following the channel for any amount of time, you should know the answer to this. Is that a good trade or a bad trade? It's not really a good trade. I don't want to give up 2 bishops for a rook and a pawn. My bishops are very powerful. The rook and the pawn aren't really doing that much. It's just not a good trade. So that's why we can say, nope, bishop g5 is probably not the move. Okay, that's how you want to kind of think through that. All right? So not a bad idea, but it's just not the way to do it. Okay? Now, we need to talk about bishop takes f7 because this is, in the book, he mentions that this is what white needed to avoid. Okay? This is like the trap, he said. And Stockfish disagrees, so we'll have to see what Stockfish says in just a minute. But the author of the book says that after the queen takes, let me see what he says here actually. Rook takes this, and you take here. Oh, okay, yeah, sorry. This is what white was hoping for. This is the line that white was hoping black would play, okay, if you take the bishop. Hoping that they take you, you trade, you jump over here. This is good for white, right? And you can see that. The king is stuck in kind of like a mating net. The knight is pinned. This is awful for black, okay? However, after bishop takes f7, there's this move. Instead of taking, king h8. You just step to the side. And now, after the trade, this is a different story. Your queen is under attack. Black is ready to go on the offensive. And I guess black is okay here. The author seems to think that black is fine. Stockfish still likes white's position. So anyway, that's a little bit getting a little bit too complicated. So let's get back to the game. But it wasn't as good as probably some people thought it was. Okay, the move that was played, which some of you also said, was queen to g5. Now, I will say this about queen to g5. Usually, when you are attacking and your opponent has weaknesses around their king, and you have taken advantage of that in a good way, usually trading queens is not the solution. Okay? So just keep that in mind. Usually that's not the solution. However, in this position, white was looking towards the endgame. White was basically saying, look, if I trade queens here, I'm pretty confident I can win this endgame. Now, why would they say that? What about the position leads them to believe that they can win the endgame? Well, there's a couple things. Number one, they have the bishop pair. Okay? Generally speaking, the bishop pair is better than a knight and a bishop or 2 knights, as long as the bishops are in an open board, which they are. These bishops are very powerful, very strong. They have lots of diagonals and things that they're doing, so that's great. The other thing is the pawns. So when we look at the pawns, this is really, really important, okay? When we look at the pawns, we have 3 against 2, and we have 3 against 4. And a lot of you are like, well, that's equal. I mean, white has an advantage over there, but black has an advantage over here. Isn't that equal? The answer is no, it's not equal. And there's a couple of reasons for why that's not the case. Number one, these pawns on the queen side are further away from the king, right? Look at how far the kings are. Look how far the kings have to go to stop these pawns. So imagine if some of these pieces just disappeared, okay, hypothetically, and the pawns were now in play, we could push these, create a passed pawn, and black has a hard time stopping them, okay? Black's majority, even if they were able to somehow push this pawn all the way up here and create a passed pawn, we would very easily be able to stop that with our king. So that's one thing to keep in mind, okay? The other thing is that this pawn is actually a target for white. It's weak. It's so far extended. And notice the f5 is not a move you can play. Remember that pin we talked about earlier? So white is saying, look, if you trade queen, that's fine. I'm going to win a pawn. And I'm going to have my 3 against 2 majority. I'm going to be able to win the endgame. Okay? So that's kind of important that you understand why they were going into this queen trade. They were thinking about that stuff. I guarantee they were thinking about that before they were just like, yeah, we'll just trade queens, right? I see too many beginners that don't really think through a queen trade like they should, right? You don't want to just like, I'll just trade queens. Why not? Like, no, like think about it. Is it good or bad? Okay. So very, very important. All right, let's keep going. So queen g5 is played and black trades. Black kind of has to trade, I think, because if you don't trade and you try to run away, you allow the queen to invade, it looks like to me, and I don't think... Oh, Stockfish says there's some sort of a crazy draw with queen h2. Wow. Oh, well, now I have to see. Now I'm just curious. What is this? What is this? Oh, you sack the queen. Okay, here's a crazy Stockfish line for you guys. You sack the queen, you get the rook, and it's a draw. Oh, bishop e5 stops the checkmate, controls the back rank, and black is basically... Stockfish says black's going to set up a fortress, and the game's going to be a draw. Wow, fascinating. Okay. Anyway, I think probably black didn't see all of that and thought that the queen trade was forced, because normally you don't want to allow this kind of a thing, right? It just doesn't look good. It actually goes with what we just talked about. The tactics lesson, mating nets. This is a perfect example of a mating net, right? So anyway, sorry, let's go back to the game. So because of that, I think black decided, I got to take this. Okay, so queen takes. White captures, attacks the rook at the same time. And like I said, this is a target. Okay, this is a target. Black plays rook to d7. And what move do you play now as white? Is James Candy in the chat? I didn't see him. Is he? Well, if he is, welcome. I didn't see his name, but I'm seeing that people are saying he's here. So good to see you if you are here. All right, guys. Hopefully you didn't say take the pawn, because don't forget, there is a pin here. There is a pin here, and you will lose the game. Actually, it's worse than just a rook. It's checkmate, because the bishop's hitting h2. So you have to take your time, and you just play rook to d2. Now, why do we play rook to d2? Because now it's defended, which means we can safely take this next move. Okay, so you had to not rush that. And again, I already mentioned it, but black can't defend, and there's not really a good way for them to defend the pawn, right? So that was something that we said earlier. All right, let's keep going. So black decides to play bishop here, trying to go on the offensive. And let me see. Do I want to... No, not yet. Let's keep going. So white takes. Notice the attack on the rook. Nice little tactic here. Black is unable to take the pawn because white is creating a counterattack. Okay, so a little tactical idea. So black decides to trade and go into this endgame. Now, we talked about it earlier, but let's just reiterate. The 3-against-2 majority is a very big deal, okay? Not only is it you can create a passed pawn, but we already talked about the kings are not close, right? Black has a long way to go if they're going to stop that. And black doesn't even have the majority anymore. So lots of things go... Oh, and the other thing, the bishop pair, right? The two bishops. So all these things are why this is such a nice endgame for white. Okay? Let's keep going. So black decides to play here. I'm not exactly sure why black brought the knight back there. I mean, it does defend the pawn, but it doesn't really seem like it accomplishes much. Anyway, that's what they did. Now, question for you guys watching. What should white do? What should white do? Well, the answer is push the pawns. Push the pawns. Create a passed pawn, right? That's where your advantage is. That's what you should do. Now, if you said activate the king, which, yeah, some people did, I am proud of you for remembering that the king needs to be activated in the endgame. So, absolutely, I think that's totally fine. And you know what? Stockfish likes this move the best, by the way. So, those of you who said that, you're thinking along the lines of Stockfish. But in the game, and also a very nice plan, is just push your pawns, right? Just make a passed pawn. And then it's going to tie up the pieces. That's another way to win the endgame, all right? So that's what white does. Black decides it's time to bring the king over and try to help, but like I mentioned, it's a long way away. All right, so what do? Well, push the pawn, okay? King comes over, and let me see if this is the moment where I want you guys to pause. Yeah, this is the moment where, what do you do now? I mean, you've pushed your pawn kind of about as far as you can. If you go here, you're going to lose a pawn, so what do? Tricky moment in the game, I will say that. Well, a few people are saying the move. A few people are saying the move. And Let me see. Yeah, okay. All right. And for those of you who said bishop takes b7, you are correct. So here is something that you want to keep in mind. Okay, very important. At the end of the game, when you're in an endgame where there's passed pawns, a lot of times the best way to win a game is to promote a passed pawn, right? Like, it makes sense. How are you going to win with just some bishops and some pawns? The only way you're going to win is if you get a queen, okay? So you always want to have that in the back of your mind as you're playing, like, you know what? I might be able to get a queen pretty soon. Let me just keep an eye on that. And when an opportunity presents itself, you want to be ready. So that is what's going on in this position. If you just take, black just takes back, and did you create a passed pawn? Well, yes, but it's, I mean, I don't know. That looks like it has a long way to go. The king's right there. That doesn't really seem to make sense. So what white does instead is sacrifices the bishop. Some of you guys saw this. You sacrifice the bishop. Why? Because the most important thing is getting a queen. And if the knight takes you, guess what? You take here, and you're going to get a queen. The knight can move. You go here, you get a queen, and you win. That's simple, right? And in the game, black did not take and decided to instead take here. Okay? Still, you got a pawn. All right, so what do you do now? Do you move your bishop? That is the question. Do you move your bishop away from the attack from the knight? Or do you do something else? And if so, what else do you do? Very, again, kind of a tricky moment in the position. All right. Yes. Looks like you guys are onto the trick here. So the move the white decides to play was a6. And again, what's the most important thing? Getting the pawn to become a queen. So that's what white does. They play a6. Okay, and again, if, black says, well, let me just keep taking, a7, a8, you're going to get a queen and you're going to win. Okay, black's not in a position to stop you. So what happens instead? Bishop to b8. Oh, and by the way, this is an important moment. If the knight takes you, what do you do? What do you do here? Well, hopefully you didn't say take the knight, because that is the way to not win the game. Now you're probably going to draw, because the bishop is just sitting there. And now black takes you and you're in trouble, right? They've stopped you. What you do is you push on a7. This brings me to another principle. Knights are very bad at stopping outside pass pawns. Okay? Very bad. So whenever you have a pass pawn on the, an A file or H file, just keep that in mind, especially if you're defending against one of those and all you have is a knight. You better watch out, right? Because they could be very tricky. And we saw that here. Great. All right. But in the game, black decided to go bishop to b8 instead to control this way. All right. So what do you do now if you're white? Well, you take the pawn. That one makes sense, right? I mean, why not? You got two pawns. You need to keep them going, and that's what you do. All right, so black takes your bishop. What do you do? What do you do here? Yeah. You guys are seeing it. All right, so you're figuring this out. All right. If you take the knight, that's a big mistake. That's a big mistake because now you've got the double isolated pawns and they're blockaded by the bishop. And on top of that, black's king is right here to come start taking them. Now, you might be able to still win this position because the king is going to have to at some point come over and take these. And maybe if you're smart, you can use your king to get over here and take these. But it's not going to be easy, okay? And so the better way to do it, and what was played in the game to kind of finish it off, b6. b6, look at this. And again, it's this a7 pawn, which black can't stop now. You had the bishop, but now you've got b6, and black's in trouble. I mean, what are you going to do? How are you going to stop this, right? There's nothing they can do. You could try to bring the king over, a7, and you're just not in time, right? You could try to come here. It doesn't really matter. White gets the queen and wins, okay? So Really nice game. I think that was really instructive. We saw a lot of different things, right? White was attacking, then they decided to trade the queens, go into the endgame. They had the queen side majority. They were able to push those forward. We saw lots of little tricks at the end. And by the way, this is very, very common when you have a nice position and you're pushing your pawns, but at some point, there's going to be a moment where it's like you got to find a little trick, a little tactic, a little way to sneak past, right? And so just be on the lookout for those. You'll be amazed at how many times those pop up in the games. Okay. So if you like this, okay, this is a game from the book, The Most Instructive Games of Chess Ever Played. But I cover a lot of these in the course. There's a module, I believe it's module 9 in the course, Breaking 1500, where there's like 5 games just like this. We go over games. There's nice themes where we learn a bunch of cool things and we really dive into each move. And it's even a little bit, it's even more, what am I trying to say? It's more, it's better presented. I'll say that it's better presented than what I'm doing now, because live I kind of make mistakes and I don't edit everything out, and the videos were edited, and it's just better. So, but it's basically the same style. So if you like this, you'll definitely like the course. It's open for a few more hours, and yeah, that's basically what you can expect. So, questions. What do you guys think? Any questions on anything? I know we talked about the tactics. We talked about the mating nets earlier. We talked about the crooked path and how that can be really valuable at the end of the game. And we went through this game. Play a game. Yeah, I might play a game here in just a second. I think I will play a game in just a second. Rob, what do we have to do to have me sing the jingle again? Ooh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. That's a good question. All right, looks like lots of people are asking about playing a game. All right, yeah, we'll play a few games here in just a second. Cool. All right, so Zach started the course already. Oh, and then you just saw that I was live. Nice, nice. Is there a benefit to breaking 1500 for someone already rated 2000? Good question, Alex. I would say maybe. You're gonna know a lot of it, but then there might be some things that you don't know. So it's hard for me to answer. Sometimes 2000 rated players do have gaps, and you might just be like really good at tactics, but you also have some misunderstandings of some positional things that maybe you'll learn. It's hard for me to say. I've seen some 2000 players that yes probably would benefit, and then the others that probably know most of it. So it's totally up to you. If you want to give it a shot and see, you could always do that, and then request a refund if it turned out to not be. But there's a lot of games like this. So like if you felt like you learned something from this, then yeah, I think you will learn. If you felt like this lesson was too basic for you, then probably not. That would be how I would say. Let me see. Crooked Path has a bad PR problem because it's something. Oh, yes, I see what you're saying. Yeah, the name is kind of weird, but I haven't thought about that until you just said that. Any word on the rice cooker? Yeah, most of the rice cookers that we've had recently have been banned. I think quite a few of them have the accounts closed. How did I learn tactics? Was it books or just over-the-board coaching from others? No, I learned tactics from the book 1001 Brilliant Ways to Checkmate. So when I was growing up and learning, there wasn't really chess.com. There wasn't really online stuff. It was books. That was pretty much the only way, or coach or something. And so I learned 1001 Brilliant Ways to Checkmate was the book that I learned on. Most of those tactics were specifically tactics related to checkmating the king, which might have something to do with why I like to just play aggressive chess and look for checkmates, because there's lots of other types of tactics in chess, but I'm drawn to the king ones, where it's like checkmate. Okay. Rob, the dots analogy. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point for Alex's question. So yeah, I mentioned this in the course, but like basically learning chess is like, if you imagine you have a bunch of dots everywhere just filling up the screen, and they're all red. Okay, when you first start playing chess, the dots are all red because you don't really know anything. And then you learn stuff like, oh, control the center of the board. Oh, develop your pieces. Oh, castle before move 10. Oh, don't trade a bishop for a knight without a good reason. And all these dots start turning green. And basically, you want to turn as many of them green as you possibly can. And they're all like different little things that you should learn. Some of them are tactical patterns. Some of them are principles. Some of them, are opening lines, endgame techniques. And the more dots that you can change green, the stronger of a player you become. So Alex probably has a lot of them, but maybe not all of them. And so, yeah, that could still be useful. Good point, Rob. Did I see the 9-move game? I did, Andrew. Yes, I actually recorded a video on that, which I think I scheduled for tomorrow. But yes, I did. So you'll see the recap of that. I don't usually do recaps like that, but that game was like, oof, I just have to show this one. Okay, guys. I need to refill my water, and I'll be right back, and we'll play a game or two. And Breaking 1500 is open for a few more hours, so if you want to go check that out while you wait, links in the description. I think I also pinned it there as a comment. So, yes, Connor. Yes, this is my full-time job. You know why it's my full-time job? I'll tell you why. Because people bought my courses. A couple of years ago, I launched a course, and some people bought it, and that was how I was able to do this full-time. So I really appreciate everybody, and yeah, that's why. So the ad revenue from YouTube wasn't cutting it at the time. So, all right, I'll be right back. We get some water, and then we'll play a game or two here before we call it a night. All right, be right back. All right, folks. Rob, yeah, that's right. All right, let's play a game here. Let me go. This one, and we will play a game here. All right, gotta close some of these tabs here. All right. Oh no, not 1 minute games. Let's go 10 minutes. And sorry, I'm looking for my Breaking 1500 thing. Where's it at? I think it's this one. Here we go. Let me just put that over here. This video is sponsored by Breaking 1500. Okay, Hey, Jesse, you love the course so far. Very happy for the success. Hey, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, let's see. I will play the opening that I recommend in the course. How about that? The Owens defense. So we'll give you a little sneak peek here into the course. Even if you don't get it, you can learn something. So the Owens defense, basically, you fee and kettle the bishop here. You play e6, bring this guy out, and you kind of put pressure on the light squares. Now, to be fair, I don't usually play this opening at the very top level, so I don't have a ton of experience beating like really strong players with it. But we're going to give it a shot. And this doesn't seem like the normal setup. So yeah, I don't want to go bishop b4 anymore because c3 just makes me waste my time. Usually you go there if the knight's on c3, so we're not going to do that. It's tricky to attack that when they put the pawn on d3, but we could still do it, I think, with d5. I'm debating if I want to bring the knight out first and then go d5. I think I do, and I'll probably end up putting the bishop on e7 to meet the pin. Okay, they just castle right away. So yeah, d5 now maybe makes some sense, because what we're trying to do is unleash this bishop here. So I think this is a good plan. Yeah, and then we probably take with the knight. Because if I take with the pawn, there's two problems. Number one, I block my bishop. Number two, I open up my king. Right? If I go here, well, then he's just going to trade, and I don't have my nice little bishop. So I think by process of elimination, we just take with the knight. Ooh, all right. Now, do I want to take that bishop? I mean, I like the bishop pair, so I'm actually tempted. But I also feel like my knight's pretty strong right there, and maybe I could take it later. I am very tempted, though, with the bishop pair. The only thing that concerns me is opening up the rook here. I don't know if that's the way to go. So I think I'm just going to play bishop d6 instead. I'm just going to line up my bishops here and see if we can create some attacking chances. Yes. Let's see. Maybe just develop. I'm hesitant to castle because I don't know if I want to throw these pawns forward. I don't know if I want to throw the pawns forward. I could also think about moving my knight here, which then I open up opportunities to sacrifice. Ooh, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Maybe he wants to go here and do this. Yeah, I think I need more pieces, so let me go knight to d7. I want to try to bring another piece over here. I think white's position is a little bit too solid for me to just go crazy and attack it right now. I'm going to try to get a few more pieces into the action. If I go here, takes, does that benefit me somehow? Maybe. Could also go here. He's probably going to play d4. Maybe I just go here and to g5 and we put the pressure on the bishop that way. Yeah, maybe that's the simplest. Let's just do that. Oh, interesting. Now he goes for the pin. But see, here's the thing. I'm going to chase that away. Yeah, I'm going to attack it. And if they go back, now I am going to throw my pawns forward because I can do it with tempo, I think. If they take me, I'm going to have an interesting decision. No, okay. So yeah, let's attack, I think. The only other move would be, do I want to like jump in here for some reason? Why would I want to do that? I mean, yes, I'm attacking this, but who cares? I'm not set up to do that, so I think we just do this. So we're probably going to look to castle this way, since I'm being aggressive on the king side here. Do I go there now? If I play h5, he's going to take a pawn. I don't think I want to do that. Now, it's not out of the question because it does open the g file, but sometimes the knight can get defended and actually blockade the g file. Okay. I like this move because it opens up my bishop and it brings another piece closer to the king. It's also supported nicely by the pawn. Yeah, I mean, threatens the light squares. Lots of good stuff to like about that move. Okay, I really want a castle. Do I have time to do that? Queen d7 or queen e7? Queen e7 looks a little bit risky, but I don't think white can take advantage of that pin on the queen. Although here we stop stuff like this, which is actually a pretty annoying move. So maybe I do need to go to d7. Yeah, maybe I do need to. I think I want a castle, and then we can continue here. Our opponent's playing very fast. Very fast. Here's maybe a threat. Maybe that's a threat too. Okay, if I castle and they play a5, how much does that bother me? Probably could just push right on by and just keep on rolling here. So I think that's fine. Do they have any other moves? I don't think so. Let me go ahead and castle. A lot of times when somebody's attacking you and they're trying to open up the files for their rooks, if you can push by, it keeps everything closed. So on a5, that's why I'm thinking b5. Because if the pawn doesn't have any targets to trade with, it's in the way. It's in the way of white's rook attacking me. Okay? So that's the idea. That's the idea. And now I'm ready to maybe go here and just... Oh, rook e3. What is that all about? That's a very peculiar move, but only because I don't know what's the point. Maybe just to defend this? Okay, interesting. Very interesting. Is it time to play h5 now, guys? We might lose a pawn, but then we can also just take here. Really happy with the g file being open. I think it's time. Yep. Here we go. Here we go. d4. Yeah, I really don't understand what is white doing. I don't like... Okay, I'm just going to keep attacking, I think. So h4, he's got to take, then we jump in with the bishop, and we keep pushing. It looks amazing. Let's go. Let's go, not lose on time. And maybe this makes some sense too, but I think I just want to do it this way. Yeah, it's not... I mean, that's not a terrible move either, actually. So the rook's going to go back. The rook's going to come over. We're threatening to play like h3. Here we could probably take. Man, this is... Ooh. They both look really good. Like, sometimes you have two good moves and you don't know which one to play and you end up losing on time. Takes. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it this way. I don't know. Maybe this was better. They're both really good, but just getting it open right away. I think I can even just play immediately h3. And then probably just like sack a bishop or bring a rook over first and then sack a bishop. And I think white's getting checkmated this way. The other way probably too, because g4, g3, same kind of deal. But rather than sit there and spend another minute, you know, I think I'll just play it and... I'm going to go h3 first so that white doesn't get to do it and hide the king over here and somehow survive. So I'm not letting them blockade me. Because I already have this covered, right? If they go here, I'm going to be able to bust it open whenever I'm ready. Yeah, they do. So I think we go with this rook first. I think. And now we're probably set up to sacrifice the bishop, come in with the rook. We've got this guy, we've got a knight, we've got the pawn. I mean, it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good as long as we don't lose on time. Okay, queen e1. All right, I think we take here. Now, do we have a tactic? Takes, check. Ooh, oh, I didn't actually mean to move there. I didn't realize I clicked the knight. Man, you know what? It's funny because that was also a move I was thinking of playing anyway, but I didn't really want to play it at that moment. Anyway, it's too late now. Ooh, what is this? Wow. That wasn't on my radar. It was not on my radar. But I don't think it matters so much. This is why I was kind of thinking of knight g4, because once we take that... Oh, he sacks that way? Hmm. I think I want to go queen h3 here, but I also might want to just take the rook. Let's see. Or queen g4. So many moves here. Oh, what do I do, guys? I'm going to lose on time. Man, okay. Wait, did I just have queen h3? Did I just miss queen h3? Was that... Oh, why didn't I don't know why I didn't see queen h3. I think that was just winning on the spot. Man. Time pressure. It's getting to me. Getting to me. All right, well, at least we're still in a winning position, so let's not panic. So maybe we missed it, but we still have a good position because we have this threat, we have this threat. So, and this. As long as I don't panic right here, we're fine. Totally fine. I do think I missed queen h3. So my move is going to be queen h1, I think. And then we take here. What is white going to do to try to stop that? Queen f2. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, no, but then I could still do it and take here. Takes. The knight is pinned. Yeah, that's still... It still should be a winning endgame. Yeah, it should be fine. Even if I trade queens, which I think I will. Because I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win the knight. I'm basically just up a rook. Just have to figure out a way to simplify the position. I think he's got a trade. Or I'm going to trade, or checkmate, one of the two. Okay, so there's the knight. It's pinned. We've got it. We actually do it this way, because now we have a sneaky little move here. We've got some sneaky moves. He's probably going to go check. I'm going to move here. Yeah, we got this. We got this. Let's go pawn hunting. We'll go here. Guarantees that I can take this one next. Now it's just like playing a bullet game. Just don't lose on time in the bullet game. I'm just trying to simplify, so I'm just trading as much as I can. We'll keep this A pawn here as a easy way to win. Get a queen. All right. We've got the setup here that we need. Let's force the bishop away. And go, go, go. Go, go, go. Go here. Keep the king out. Safely do this. Let's see. No stalemate. Nope, no stalemate, so we're fine. Let's go here. Ladder, checkmate. Good game. Good game. Plenty of time. We had plenty of time. All right. Quick reminder. Breaking 1500 closes in a few hours. So if you want to get it, now's the time. All right, let's check the game review. All right. They played actually, huh, interesting. Okay, weird. 89, 83. Pretty good game. I think I played pretty well that time. Pretty happy with that. So the Owens defense comes through. Hey, Okus, thank you. Thank you for all the content. You signed up for Breaking 1500. Oh, you couldn't fit in the budget right now. Yes. In a few months. It'll be a few months, but yeah, at some point it will. So it might not have some of the bonuses and stuff like the live group coaching. I'm not sure if that's going to be in when it opens later. So it might be missing a few things, but definitely at some point. Appreciate it. Okay, so the Owens defense comes through for us. Now, this was not a typical Owens defense because our opponent was doing some weird stuff here. But the nice thing about the Owens is it's pretty flexible. You can, kind of just develop your pieces in a similar fashion. Bishop goes here, knight goes here. This bishop either pins the knight or goes to e7. You play d5. It's not that complicated, so that's one of the reasons why I recommended it in the course, and we kind of go through some of the more common lines in the course, like where they actually put 2 pawns in the center, right? This is much more common, and so, yeah. The group chat for the course, so there's like an activity area, and you just go in there, and you could post questions and answer other people's questions or discuss with people. There's actually, I'm very pleased, like a lot of people have been using it and asking really good questions, and I'm compiling like a list of questions to talk about in the group coaching. So yeah, it's been really nice. It's been really good. All right, let's see if we can sneak in another game here. Maybe I'll try to move a little faster. All right. Oh, should I play? Why not? I'm playing all the openings. Why not? I don't usually play these openings against these level of people. Oh, see, they're smart. Okay. What I tell people in the course is like, try to get your bishop there right away so that before they do. But they do have this moment right now, which they took advantage of. However, they do create weaknesses on b7. So I'm pretty sure the way that you respond to this is you play c4 and you try to actually just hit that, weakness right away. So that's what I'm going to do. And we'll see if we can cause some problems here for black. Because we're hitting multiple areas, right? And it's kind of annoying for them because the bishop's out. So we'll see how they're going to respond here. Okay, queen d7. So they do defend, but now I played knight f3, and I'm ready to jump in. So they have to watch out. They have to watch out for that. Yeah, f6. I was going to say that might be forced. It's kind of an ugly move, though, for black to play, right? It's kind of an ugly move. The question is, can we take advantage of it? Maybe just knight c3. Just develop and put more pressure. They're going to play e6. Looks like they're surviving somehow, but I feel like I've got to be happy with my position, right? I've got to be happy with my position out of the opening. Another just, what kind of a move is this? There's almost a tactic here where I can pin the queen, but there's always knight c6, so it doesn't work. So I'm actually thinking of pushing by and just saying like, look, your position is super awkward. You got to untangle all your pieces. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking. Either that or I just strike at e4. This is also good, right? Because if they take me, I take them. Pretty happy. I've got the lead in development. Yeah, maybe e4 is even better. I mean, when your opponent is not developing, that's usually a sign that you should bust open the center. If they take me here, I take with the knight. This is defended. Yeah, maybe that's the way. Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, we take here. That was a no-brainer. Take here. That was a no-brainer. Yeah, I've got to be really happy. I mean, look at this, guys. I've got 2 knights. I've got 2 pawns in the center. And my opponent has a f6 plate. I mean, that's no good, right? Now, just because your position is good doesn't mean you automatically win, right? We still have to find good moves. Like e5, maybe. d5. Bishop f4. Castles. Castle. I mean, so many options here. I think I like, let's see, bishop f4, g5. I go back here. I jump around. Bishop e3. Maybe just castling. Maybe just castling. Let's wait and see before I commit the bishop. How about that? Yes, because castling, I'm pretty confident this is where I want my king to be anyway. Seems like the safest place. So we'll just hold off on the bishop just for a move. We'll get a little bit more information from the luckless cow 7 here. Wow. Okay, they are castling that way. So my instinct is b4, b5. Just Go get it. Go get it. Go get the king. B4, B5. My position's very solid. I'm not really worried about E5. I'm just going to push on and checkmate the king. That's my idea anyway. You know what? You know what? There's also this knight. Ooh. If I go here and the king goes over, I go check. The king goes in the corner. I can't go there because this knight, but I'm really actually tempted to play this move. So B4 or bishop F4. Which one? Which one? Oh, here's the thing though. Here, G5, G4. I move the knight, I lose a pawn. I don't like that. It's amazing, but this G5, G4 idea really is annoying. All right, let's go B4 then, I think. Let's go B4. I know my position's really good, so let's see if we can actually... Okay, he's trying to get away from the pin, but he does walk into a check. Should I play it now? Seems better now because it's with tempo, right? Let's do it with the tempo. I don't have to worry about G5 now, and I can keep the pressure up here. How about B5? How about B5? If they take, I take. My knight's coming in. Pretty happy with that. D5. I think probably this is better. Let's do this. Take with the knight here. Okay, here we go. Here we go. You can't go there. Queen A4. I do have a threat, sort of, but it doesn't work because they would take with the rook, and then they would have it defended. And if I took, then I'm losing 2 pieces for a rook, remember? We don't do that. We don't do 2 pieces for a rook. That's not a good trade. So it doesn't quite work. But I am going to keep an eye on that. I am definitely going to keep an eye on that. Wow. Was not expecting that move. Queen G4. I mean, there's no way. There's no way you can get away with that. Is there? Can you really get away with that move? I want to play rook C1. Is that too crazy? Is rook to C1 too crazy, guys? Sack the bishop, we have this. If they take, I take. They take, I go check. They block, I checkmate. Right? Easy. Easy, 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 I think. I think it's easy. Basic. It's basic tactics. But notice notice I'm continuing to build the pressure and I'm not like wasting my time here. I'm just attack, attack, attack. Yes, yes, my bishop is hanging, for those of you saying that, but it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter because I have a stronger threat. And I mean, look at this. Look at this. By the way, this video is brought to you by Breaking 1500, which is only open for a few more hours. Okay, wait a second, wait a second. If I take, the queen takes, I go rook c1. We hit the queen. The queen moves somewhere. Let's just say, I don't know, here. Really? There's no checkmate there? Hold up. Still think it's a good trade because basically I'm eliminating this rook and then I'm going to bring this rook into the game. So yeah, it's still a good trade. But we do have to strike fast. We have to strike fast before these pieces get into the game, right? Hey, he played the move I was thinking. How about that? Check if the knight takes. I could go bishop here. I could push this and bring my knight here, but is that too slow? Because I don't really want to allow like this, and then now I have to deal with a rook too, right? I'm running out of time also, so really feels like there should be a rushing move here. I just don't see what it is. Oh, queen a5. Oh, queen a5. Check it out. Check it out. Queen a5. If you take, I go check and checkmate. Okay, queen a5 is amazing. Ooh, 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 ooh. You can't go b6. You can move, but then you walk into some stuff. Oh, I think that's a nice move, guys. Let me just verify. Let me verify I'm not losing my queen for free. No, rook c8 leads to a checkmate. Ooh, brilliant move. Huh? I'm calling it. I'm calling that's a brilliant move. So black obviously is not going to take. What are they going to do instead? Queen here. Okay. We could go check. Or we could go rook here or... All right, let's say I go check. The knight's going to take me. I take with the rook. That looks really good. Is that the best thing? It's probably the best thing, right? Could also take this way, but no, I think this is probably better. Okay, I have a minute and 40 seconds, so I need to find the win, though. I'm going to lose on time. I need to find it. He's going to go here. Oh, no, he goes here. Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. Where's the win? Is it just queen here? Is that the simplest and easiest thing to do? Oh, can he play rook takes b7? Oh my, rook takes b7. What a move. Rook takes b7. Oh. I can't pass up that move. I got to get my second brilliant here. If you take my queen, look at that checkmate. Huh? And if you take this, I'm taking the queen. Ooh, and I'm threatening checkmate, so you kind of have to do that. Oh, he's going to let me do it. He's going to let me do it. Yes. All right. What's the vote? Did we have two brilliants? I think we had two brilliants. I think we did. I think we had two brilliants. No. Okay. Okay, come on. Chess.com. You're going to tell me that one of those was not a brilliant move? That's disappointing. What is... Man, what do you have to do to get a brilliant move these days? Wow. E4 was the best move, so we made the right decision here. Yes, very good. Okay, knight a6. Let's see. What do we do? Castle? Best move. Awesome. B4. Okay, B4 was not bad. Stockfish would not have chosen that, though. Yes. 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 Queen a4. Very good. Rook a to c. Okay. Best move. Good. There was a brilliant. Okay, that's what we thought. We thought it was a brilliant. Not the best move, though. It was a brilliant, but not the best move. I actually had checkmate if I just go to this C file right away. Oh, okay. That does make sense, actually. That does make sense. But still, this one looks really cool. All right, now, check. Now you're going to tell me that that's not a brilliant move. Come on. Come on. Excellent move. All right. Well, it was a brilliant move to me. All right. It was a brilliant move to me. Fun game. Fun game. Okay. Don't forget, video is sponsored by Breaking 1500. Enrollment closes in a few hours. Now's your time. All right, let's go. Let's play a new game here. It's fun. Owl Factor 99. Wow, why not? We'll do another one. I'll keep my sponsors happy. Owen's defense. Oh, he's playing the main line. So let's see. We'll see if we can see some more like normal looking stuff here. Yep, perfect. So he goes with like, this is pretty common stuff. So what do? We played bishop to b4. So this is an opening where you actually break the principles and you bring out your bishops before your knights. And you're just trying to put pressure on these light squares. So now we're going to attack it again. All right, we're attacking it 2 times. It's only defended 1 time. He goes for the counter pin. Okay, all right, let me think here for a moment. I think what we do against this, I think we play h6. I think this pin is very dangerous and we don't want to allow that. Now, unfortunately, I don't remember everything, but I'm pretty sure this is what we do. So let's attack that. And if he goes back, I think we do play g5. So he's probably going to take. And then I believe we just take with the queen. Yeah, and I think our position is pretty fine. I think it's relatively equal. We do have the bishop pair, at least temporarily, although we might give this up here. I think that's what we're supposed to do, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't memorized all of the lines, so I'm kind of on my own at this point. But I think we got a decent position out of the opening. So, question is, yeah, do I want to trade that or keep the bishop? If I don't trade it, I'm afraid of like e5 and the knight jumping in and just becoming very, very annoying, which I don't think we should allow. So I think we should take it. I think we should. Now, if I want to be really aggressive, I could do this. If I want to play a bit more solid, I would probably do like d6 and bring my knight in. I think I should play solid here. I don't feel like I'm in a position to attack because I'm not castled and I'm not developed. Okay, so because of that, I think I will go with d6. Put the knight here, just have a very solid position. Queen to d2, fine. Let's go knight to d7. And now I'm much more likely, to do something like this because I've completed the development. I can very quickly castle if I need to. I could also castle this way, depending on how I want to play this. If I want to play the attacking, aggressive way, I would castle this way. If I want to play a safe, sort of solid way, I would castle this way. So, you guys know me. It's not really much of a question. Probably going to castle this way. I say that, let me just think. What about this e5 move? It's a little bit annoying. No, it should be fine. It should be fine. Hey, welcome to Checkmaters. Let's go. Let's do it. We're going to try to play aggressive here. He's coming for me. Now, I could play a5. That would actually slow this down quite a bit because there's no b pawn to follow up. But there is a c pawn. But it might actually be worth it in this particular case because that actually is a nice way to slow down the attack. I think I will. Usually, I don't push pawns towards somebody who's launching a pawn storm because it just makes it easier for them. But in this case, we see the disadvantage of the doubled pawns. Imagine if they had a pawn here and I did this, they would just play like b4 and keep attacking me, right? But they can't, so I think it buys me a little bit of time. So I am going to do that. And then I will go back to focusing on trying to attack over here, okay? We've got him thinking. We've got him thinking. Yeah, it's pretty... I think it's a pretty critical moment in the game here. Because White has to decide what their plan is going to be. Interesting move. Why would they go there? Why would they go bishop b5? Do they want to play queen d3? Do they want to somehow come into... I don't quite know. I don't think they want to trade. Don't totally get that one. But is it possible that they want to trade and play e5? It doesn't seem like a good plan. All right, I don't know. I'm going to play g5. I'm not sure why they did that. I'm not sure. Sometimes when you're playing someone like 22, 23, 2400 and they play a move and you don't know why they played it, could be scary because there might be something that you're missing, but I don't see it. I don't know. I don't get it. Interesting. They do want to trade that. Okay. Okay. Seems like a weird plan. I mean, they must... Do they want to play e5 and they're hoping that I take and they can get the knight on e5, but I'm not going to do that. Wow, rook e3. Yeah, I have no idea what White is doing here. I have no idea. Okay. Well, I mean, there's g4, and the knight's got to go back. Yeah, that's a good plan, right? The knight's got to go back there. And I'm wondering if I could even attack here. Like, for example, queen f4 and just... Or even queen g6, just hit it this way. Or h5, h4, g3, you know? Just keep pushing. What's he thinking about? Is there another move that I'm missing here, guys? Is there another move that I'm missing? Is it e5? Don't you have to save your knight? Am I crazy? I think you have to save your knight. Weird. Okay. Because e5, I'll just like move here and then take it. So knight e1. Okay, knight e1 is going to get played for sure. Do I go queen g6 and attack this? That looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty annoying. What? Oh, because if I go here, you're going to go knight h4. Aha. But is knight h4 a good move? I mean, really? Queen g5, g3? You're opening up this? What? No. No, 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 no. I can't believe that's good for White. I just can't believe it. So with that in mind, I think that I want to go here and here, or here. I could also go here to continue to force the knight back. Or even to d8. Take, the rook comes up. No, I think I want to force g3 and then try to infiltrate somehow. Not sure exactly how, but I think maybe we can do it. So let's go with queen f5. He's going to play knight h4. And then I'm going to go with probably, let's see, which one? Maybe this. Not sure which one, but I'm going to be happy about the bishop. So that's basically what I'm focusing on. I'm going to be really happy about this. Knight h4. Okay. Again, am I missing something? Is there another move? If you go here, I take this. That's a simple tactic. You take, I take, he takes, I take. So you got to go knight h4. Queen g5. I think I'll go queen g5. Keep some pressure here. And forces g3. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Queen g5. Then we take because we have the pin on the rook. So the rook can't take. You can't take this way because of this. And we're good to go. We're good to go. That's probably why he's thinking. That's probably why they're thinking, because they're realizing they're in trouble. Queen g5. Boom. I think we've got him. G3. Look at the pins. All on the same piece. Isn't that funny? Not to mention, look at that. I mean, that is beautiful. And this knight is, eesh. Not a happy night. Not a happy night. Just realized what I did there. Okay. Do I have a rapid elo goal at the moment? Not really. Just as high as we can get it. I mean, 2,500, and then I have to go try to become a GM, but I don't think we're quite there yet. Do I lift? Yes, sometimes. I've been trying to do it more often. Arthur, you just got into chess 2 months ago. Rated 1,000 already, and cannot wait to meet you at the Breaking 1500 class. Awesome. Thanks, Arthur. I'll see you there. I'll see you in there. Queen e2. Okay, so let's see here. He gets out of the pins, right? Looks like we just take. I mean, I'm feeling like my position is super solid. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. I'm feeling really good about this. Ooh, is it queen d5? Is it queen d5? So queen d5 threat is checkmate. Only move that I see would be like f3. Then we take. The knight could take, though. So we could go here. f3 takes here. Let's just say rook here. That looks very good. Also, just taking looks very good and bringing the other rook over. But this looks a little better, so let's do it. Let's do it. But the reason why is because after f3, now you have to be careful about this diagonal and this diagonal. So you're kind of getting it from all different directions here. So f3, I think you have to play f3 because this is checkmate. So f3, and now I don't have to actually take it. I could actually just leave that, because if I take it, it does allow the knight back into the game. If I just leave it, the knight just sits there, which is not a bad plan. So maybe I just take here. Yeah, what if I just do that? If we just do that, he's going to play rook e1, I imagine, or rook f1 to save the rook. Maybe I invade. Maybe we just go in the second rank. Or I could even just take pawns. I mean, there's so many options here. Oh, c3. Okay, well, that makes my life Or makes my decision easy. Queen d2 probably. Let's see. No, I don't need to get fancy right now. I think just queen d2, right? Keep it simple. Queen c5 is also not a bad idea. Just keeping the pin. But what's it? 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm up 2 pawns. Although if he trades and takes, I would only be up 1 pawn. Still, very, very powerful position. But do I really want to trade queens when his king is so weak? No, I shouldn't. I shouldn't. I should go here. I think I should go here, bring this rook over, and then invade. Yes, he could take this if he wants, but it just opens up the bishop. And again, let me look at this. There's no way. Yeah, there's no way. There's no way the white survives this. I'm going to break out some more brilliant moves here to finish this off. That's a threat. That's a threat. Maybe this is a threat. Has to keep an eye on this pawn. Maybe this is even a move because of the trading, and then the queen jumps in. I mean, it's an awful position for the white king. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. Okay, so he deals with one threat, but he doesn't deal with this one. So I think we go here. Alternatively, I trade. No, then we get checked down there. No, we don't want to do that. Okay. So yeah, rook d3. The rook can't move. If queen takes, I take, and I'm happy. Knight to d4. Looks like we just take here. Bishop a6 is an interesting idea also, but I think I'm pretty happy with rook d3. Yeah, I think rook d3 is a pretty solid move here, guys. Pretty solid move, just taking advantage of the pin. By the way, the pin is a tactic that we cover in Breaking 1500. So, okay. Thought about going to the movies tonight, but you caught the better show. Hey, thanks, Alan. We have had some pretty nice games. I will say that. Pretty nice games. And this one's going to go down to a time scramble here. Although, I think we're just about to win. But let's see if white can come up with some tricky move that we have to figure out. King f2. All right. So if I want to trade, I can. Let's just see if we can find a forced winning endgame. Takes. Check. Take this. 3, 6. That's 6 pawns against 4 pawns. Probably winning, but is that the best that I have? I doubt it. I doubt that's the best that I have. I don't want to lose all my time, so, man. Oh, what if, oh, here we go. What if I take? Queen takes. Takes. No. All right. Maybe I just take the pawn and keep the pressure. That's the best thing. Just keep the pressure. Take the pawn, keep the pressure on the... Because he's all tied up, right? He can't move right now. So we're just going to bring in the other rook and just pile on. Thank you. That's a tactic. That's game. Yeah, that's game. Good game. Good game to our opponent. I think we played a pretty nice game. Yeah, let's check this one. Let's check this one. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Okay. 96. One mistake, and that was it. Wow, 2,700. That's a pretty good game. That's a pretty good game. Man. Whew. See here. Owen's defense is coming through tonight, guys. I mean, look at this. That was the mistake because the computer wanted me to castle the other way. Yeah, typical stockfish. Avoiding the tricky lines. A5 was good to slow it down. G5 was good. G4, yeah. I mean, we pretty much did everything right. Yep. Yep. Wow. Okay. I mean, sometimes it's a little bit of luck, right? Like, you don't always know if you're playing the best moves, but it's nice when you think it through, you calculate it, and it turns out that you were right. That's pretty cool. Time to start the procedure. Yes. Oh man. All right. Let's go. Let's go. By the way, the sponsor for this video, Breaking 1500. Hey, Karoli, thank you. Greetings from Hungary. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Yeah, Connor, back over 2300. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Hey, why not? We'll stick with the theme here. Play the openings from the course. It seems to be working pretty well for us tonight. Oh, wow. Again, what is this? Everybody wants to stop it. Well, we already know. I mean, we already know that this was good from last. Are we going to see the exact same game, guys? What is happening? Queen D7? Ah, okay, okay. So, it's too bad that I can't, well, I don't want to spoil the other video that I already recorded. Never mind. I won't say anything else about that. Okay. So, I'm just like, if I take, he wants to trade. Okay. What if I play C5? Is that an annoying move? It might be an annoying move because if he takes me, it opens up my rook and I'm actually out of my preparation here. I don't really know what to play. So I think I will go for this and see what happens. This is a bit of an experiment. Seems like our opponent has studied something here. Queen back right away. Okay. They're going to try to play E5. So maybe I'll play F4 and just say, no thanks. I don't want you to do that. Because E5 is a pretty good move, I think, for our opponent. I think I will. In the spirit of the Stonewall, I will play F4. Are they going to do this? Oh, let's go knight F3, right? Just... yeah, let's go knight F3. And so we kind of have the Stonewall, except normally in the Stonewall, this pawn's on C3 instead of C5, right? So we have a weird version of it, which, yeah, this is interesting. This is actually very interesting. Because instead of going knight b to d2, I could go knight c3, which is not a move that I would normally have the option to do. Now, I don't know if I want the knight there. I might want it here to go to f3 after this one jumps in. Bishop d3, that's kind of an annoying bishop, so maybe I want to trade that off. Seems like that probably makes sense, just because I got to move this bishop somewhere. So let's do it. Let's do it. Wow, our opponent has only used 14 seconds for the first 8 moves, by the way. Still 14 seconds with the pre-move there. Okay. Knight c3 or knight d2? Probably c3. Since I can, I may as well do it, right? Knight c3. Okay, so we could jump in with e95, which looks pretty nice. We could... maybe we're going to need to support this at some point in the future with b4. So I could start thinking about that now. But then you run into things like a5. So rook b1 with the idea of here b4, a5, something like this. I don't really know exactly what's happening. Or I just don't worry about it. And when they play there, let's see. b6, a5, a3. Because the problem is if let's say b6 happens and I defend and then a5 happens and I go a3, then boom. There's a pin, right? So I either have to deal with that now or just be willing to trade this when that happens. And which one's better? Well, I don't know. That's why I'm not sure what to play. Something like Rook B1 or Knight E5. I mean, it looks pretty good to keep that bishop locked in. It looks pretty good. So what if I just do it? If they play A5, I could just play B5 right now. And I'm breaking through first. So yeah, maybe I will do that. Maybe I will. Okay, they're going to go for it. So my plan was to push by, and I think we just do it. Because here's the thing. Like I said, you can't play A3 with a pin. But this way allows my knight to invade. Our opponent is playing a bullet game, I think. They thought it was 1 minute instead of 10 minute. Now, do we jump in right now, or do we support this guy with A4, or do we do something else? I kind of like jumping in here, because if they take me, I take them. Then I could even go here and get this protected pass pawn, which is kind of nice. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. I'll take this way. No, they don't want to take it. Okay. So we have a fork. It's controlled. We could play bishop A3. We could just castle. That seems like a pretty good move. We could try to get fancy with F5. That doesn't seem very good. Okay. Yeah, I think castling is pretty good, but so does bishop A3. But then maybe I want to play A4 to support the... Yeah, let's see. I think we want to get the king out of the center now. I think it's the time. Let's castle. Okay, so black's going to probably do the same thing. But if they do, then we can consider F5. So maybe now is a good time for A4 just to gain some more space, cramp down on black's position. Yep, let's do it. This guy is so fast. All right. Well, let's see. Do we play F5? Do we play like this? What do we do with this bishop? I mean, I could just put it here just to put some pressure on that guy. Don't think I want to do that maneuver, but yeah, maybe just here. Just kind of keeping an eye on the A5 pawn. How does that sound? 94? Am I worried about 94? Maybe I should be. Yeah, maybe I do want the bishop on A3 because then I could jump in and have this pawn be a threat. Kind of like that too. All right, let's go bishop 8. I don't know. I'm all over the place here, guys. But I got to make some moves. There's also the rook lift. There's also G4, G5, and King H1. I mean, there's so many moves here that we could do. Okay, he wants to go to C6, I guess. Do we jump in now and try to make something happen with the rooks over here? Yeah, let's do it. I think this is a safe plan. Let's do it. Basically, I'm saying, look, once you trade this, my pawn could be weak, but I've got the support, and you have to watch it. You have to watch it, and I'm going to try to use these files for my rooks and my queen and my knight and see what we can do. That's basically it. All right, so let's bring this guy over. Move a little bit faster here so we don't get flagged. Let's probably go here. Oh, I could even go rook straight away there. Or trade first and then jump in. Ooh. It'll keep the knight from getting to E4, which, at least temporarily. All right, let's do it. Let's go here. Probably rook b1. I think he's gonna go back and try to get there, but oh no, that's one. Okay, rook b1. b6. Oh, we definitely have them all bottled up. It's just a question of, can we break through? Okay, he gives me a pawn. He gives me a pawn. Do I take the pawn? Do I take the pawn? Take the pawn. I take it. I take it. Okay, so now we have to keep an eye. This is under attack. Also, back rank mate, checkmate is a problem, okay? So what do? I mean, we push, or we double up and we just go for a new threat? Let's say I push. The knight goes back. I defend. What is black's move going to be? Rook b8? I take and play here. I win. That looks pretty convincing, actually. That looks pretty convincing. Let's go. Let's go. Remember, when you've got a passed pawn, you got to use it. And you got to look for those little tricks. You got to look for those sneaky ways to break through. We're going to defend. I'm threatening bishop e7. I don't see how black's going to stop that. I don't think they stopped it. I think they walked right into it because now the knight's undefended. Yeah. Boom. There you go. There's my little trick, right? I'm going to win the exchange. Okay? Cool. So, we go here. They take. It's probably fine. Or we just build the pressure here. They can take me if they want. That's fine. I'll go here. Just do it this way. Okay. Rook c8. The rook is pinned. Or we just take this pawn. Let's just take the pawn. Let's take the pawn. Remember, knights can't stop these outside passed pawns, so that should be pretty good. Let me go here. Oh, let's see. All right, I gotta just go here. I gotta go. Sorry, guys, I can't keep commentating. Unfortunately, I just can't do it. Can I actually just sack it? Wait a second. What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? That's easy. So easy. So let's make sure we don't get a stalemate. So I'm going to slow down the pre-moves here. I have 30 seconds. That's the only risk. Let's make sure he does have a square to move to right here. So I'll get a queen. Okay. Again, if you're not sure, you can always go with checks. Checks are never stalemates. That's the easy thing. And good game to our opponent. Stonewall comes through for us. Stonewall comes through. How did we do? 92. Wow. Pretty good. Pretty good. Okay. Don't forget, breaking 1500. A few more hours, guys. Having a great time with everybody in there. A lot of people are saying it's been super helpful already, so you don't want to miss that. All right, I'm gonna play one more game, and I think I'm gonna call it a night. So let's do this. See if we can go out on a bang. Keep the streak alive. All right. Kasadu RP King. Good luck. We'll stick with the Stonewall. Oh, okay. Knight f6. Yeah, you can still play it. It's just different. It's very different against this. So we'll still do it though. Oh, okay, they play d5. They transpose. So this is nice. This is nice. We're going to go f4. And they're going to try to do this and put the knight in there, probably. Okay, so we'll go ahead and play knight b to d2, I guess. Just get some control over that. Remember when they play c5, we're going to play c3. And we're going to play knight here and castle and do the normal stonewall stuff. So let's see what black's going to do. I assume bishop b7. Yep. Okay, I think we go knight f3 now. Castle. Okay, so what do we do when we see c5? Play c3, right? Pretty much every time. And the reason is you want to make sure, like, if they do this, you can go back along this diagonal is usually where your bishop is good at. Let me go ahead and castle. And, you know, when we play the stonewall, usually you like to see if they castle kingside because you can attack that way. And it looks like our opponent is going to do that, but let's see. I think I want to jump in with knight to e5 regardless of if the king castles or not. That's a pretty good move. But especially it sets up for the rook lift, okay? It sets up for, you know, just things like letting the queen out and g4, g5 and ways to attack if they castle. Black's thinking about it. They're thinking about it. Right now, I bet you that's what they're thinking about. Should I castle? Should I do something else? Let's see. Let's see. All right. All right. So we might be able to pull off just sort of the standard stonewall attack. Rook f3, rook h3, sack the bishop and win the game. We might be able to. Yeah, so I'm just going to go for it straight away and see what they're going to do. They have to do something different soon or they're going to run out of time. Like if they just play these moves like sort of normal looking rook moves, they're going to lose, okay? I'm just telling you that right now. So let's see if they can come up with something different. Because once we get the rook on h3, okay, they do trade, so they're trying to mix it up, but I don't know if that's quite good enough for them. Let's see. We'll take this way, because you want to open up the f-file. The other nice thing about this is it forces their knight to move, right? The knight that defends the king. Oh, what? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I think this is it. I think this is exactly what we wanted. Check. The only move is bishop h4. That doesn't cut it. We still have check. If they go back, we go with the queen. The only question that I have is, do they survive if they go f5? But we also could play knight f3. No, I don't think that's going to be good enough for that. Is it? Can they really survive? Hold up. Because I don't have to sack it. I could also just attack it, and after h6, play like e4, and eventually we sack the bishop. That's another way, which might be better. But let's think about this really carefully. This is a critical moment. So this is definitely where we want to spend our time in this game, okay? If we take, they take, we go check. If the king comes out, it's game over. There's queen h5 checkmate. Fine. King goes back. We come out. We're threatening checkmate, okay? The only way that I see for them to stop that is by pushing this pawn either 1 or 2 squares. We could still go there, but then they're going to escape. Now, it looks like we have at minimum a perpetual check. I could just go back and forth. Not that I really want a perpetual check, but it's just nice to see that you have it. The question is, do I have anything more than that? Somehow I would have to have more pieces involved. Knight f3 or e4 and get the knight or the bishop involved, I think. Huh. Very interesting. Or we go here. But there might even be f5 in that situation. f5 is a good move for black, because on en passant, you take with the knight. No, we're going to do it. We saw, like, I saw the perpetual check. So I'm like, look, worst case scenario, I get a draw. If I get to that position and then I don't see anything further, I'm like, all right, fine, I'll just take a draw. Which is not ideal, especially when you're the higher rated opponent, but it's nice to have that in the back of your mind, right? So here we go, check and check. We can pre-move that. That's totally fine. And black has to play king g8. Not sure what they're thinking about, but they have to play king g8. Okay, they do. Queen h5. So here's the threat, and now f5. Or f6, but I think we'll see f5. Actually, they both might be pretty similar. And one problem, I will say, one problem with the Stonewall sometimes that you run into is this right here. I would love to be able to play rook f1 and get another rook up here, right? Something like that or like this. But it's stuck. So we are going to have to take our time here with this. Probably going to be knight f3 over to g5, although there's the bishop. Okay. So do we have, of course, obviously we don't want to take, right? And allow the knight to come here and start helping. Do I have something better than my perpetual check? G6, no, because then check, that's good for us. So we have the perpetual check. Here's the problem, though. I don't even know if I have time for this, because black's going to take, and I can't go there because this annoying bishop and queen. I can go check. I can play rook g1 to attack here, but there's rook g8. Do I have a move against rook g8? Wait a second. Check, king goes here. Do we have anything better than a draw? I just don't know. I just don't know. Here to try to attack this. Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. Now that's interesting. That's interesting because black can't defend that pawn unless you're going to go king f7. Well, I guess you could go king f7. I guess you could. f5, queen here. Because if we can undermine this, then I don't know. Maybe, yeah, maybe queen g4. Otherwise, I'm just not seeing it. I'm not seeing anything better than a draw. So let's go queen g4, see if we can make something happen. But it's looking like it might be a draw. Because remember, I did sacrifice a piece, right? So if we just keep playing for too long and I don't have an attack, black's going to win. So I'm going to try one more little trick here, and then I think it's still going to end up with the same perpetual is what I am anticipating here. The only thing is if they play f5, that's where it gets a little bit interesting, because then I can go queen g6 and guarantee that I win the pawn. But the game is going to go on. Like black could use that time to maybe try to bring the queen, or do, I don't know what they're going to do, something. So that'll get a little bit interesting. But if they play king f7, honestly, I think I have to take the draw. My pieces are just not in a position to attack, right? Yeah. It's unfortunate. Let's see. Do we have any tricks with like knight f3? Knight f3 is super risky. If I don't take the draw right now, I might lose. Rook here, rook g8, check, king f8. So I just don't see anything there. Knight f3. I mean, knight f3, bishop d2, rook f1. I don't know. Maybe it's worth. Is it worth playing it? Is it worth playing it? The question is, what is black most likely going to do if I play knight f3? Probably take here. Bishop d2. But then the knight comes in. But no, then I have checks. The knight can't come in. You push. So I play rook f1. You take. I take. The knight comes in. Yeah, it's... Oh, man. This will be super interesting to see what the computer says after I've thought about it for so long. I probably should just take the draw, but I kind of just want to see what's going to happen if I play knight f3. We'll play it for the content. Play it for the content. Let's go. Let's go. We don't want a perpetual check draw. I'm pretty sure that's what Stockfish would do, by the way. But I'm going to do this for the fun. For the fun of it. Let's go. Let's go. Because it's still tricky. I mean, black has to be careful. I think they definitely probably have a win somewhere here, but can they find it? That's the other question, right? Because once we get the rook involved, it gets much more dangerous for the king. But the problem is it takes us 2 moves. And black is going to, if they're smart, they're going to use these next 2 moves very carefully. I bet they're going to take here. I have to make a decision on what... Oh, rook h8. Okay, I wasn't expecting to see that. Interesting. Wait a minute. Can I go rook g3? Because now, everything. Now I have a couple of attacks at the same time. Now I have a couple of attacks at the same time. And you have to choose, if you're black, which one do you want to defend? Do you want to stop this or do you want to stop this? Man, I would love to just immediately put my rook here too. It's too bad this bishop's in the way. Okay, well, like, they can't go there. Well, they could, actually. They could go there because the king could go back to here. Hold up. Wait a second. If I go... Wait a minute. Check. King goes there. Knight comes in, takes, check. But you sack a piece back and then... Oh, what is happening? What is happening here? Should I do it anyway? Let's see. Or should I wait for my rook to come over? Check. King goes there. Knight takes... He's going to sack the piece. He's going to be surviving. Yeah, he's going to be surviving in that situation. Oh, man. I got to move, though. I'm going to lose on time. Just doesn't quite work. It's so close. It just doesn't quite work, I don't think. That is unfortunate. All right, let me go bishop d2. I don't know. I'm trying to get my rook over. We're so close. It just doesn't quite work. Right? Because you lose a piece, then you get a piece, but you end up losing a pawn, and there's a bishop in front of your rook, and you can't do anything. That's a problem. So we're just going to do this instead. Because then it's a serious threat, right? G6, he wants to play F5, I think. I think he wants to play F5, which makes sense. But I probably have to take now. Probably have to take. Okay, but now you have some things happening here. We're going to get the rook on F1. Yeah, it's not over yet. It's not over yet. We have some tricks up our sleeve, guys. We have some interesting tricks. You can't take with the knight. You have to take with the bishop. Then we play rook f1. Okay, rook f1. Let's go. Still threatening this again because the pin. So how does black deal with that? Probably moves the king somewhere. And then what do I do? Is it time for e4 to get this guy into game? It could be. Yeah, it could be time for e4. I mean, the problem is I don't have any idea what black's going to play. Like, maybe just move their king, but they might do something else. There's probably a lot of options here. I think I want to sack this pawn. Okay, he does move the king. Okay, so I could play knight g5. Takes, takes. The king's going to get away, I think. I think we need the bishop. I think we need the bishop. Yes, we need the bishop. Let's go. Who cares about the pawn? The knight's going to move anyway. But I want my bishop to be able to deliver checkmate or something. So let's say takes. We jump in here. Yeah, we jump in here. We hit this guy. Oh, it's getting so wild. It's getting so wild. Okay, let's go. Let's go. We've got bishop takes, so you can't take me, but you could play knight f8. If you play knight f8, maybe I just take here. Keep the files open, and we attack the king this way. Knight takes e4 is kind of my fallback move. Unless I see something else better, but I'm not seeing it at the moment. So yeah, this is what I'm going to play most likely on knight f8. If... Oh, there's also this move. I just noticed that. I still could play this, though. The knight takes e4 most likely is going to be the move regardless. Let's do it quickly. Try to put the pressure on the clock as well. And we are attacking here. Maybe we swing over here and line up on the king. Maybe we go... Okay, we have to take that back, I believe. Yeah, so rook here or rook here now to go for this. d5 is another move to put the pressure there. We could grab a pawn, but I'm more interested in the king. Still down the piece, 3, 4, 5, 3, 6. So we have one pawn for our piece. Okay. We can get another one. Yeah, if we can win all these pawns, and even in going into an endgame, that might be playable. But d5, rook e1, it's very tricky for black. They have to be careful. And they're losing on their time. We're about to win on time, I think. I'm getting a sense that we're going to win this game on time. We have bishop f4. Yeah, let's go bishop f4. Ooh, 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 ooh. You can't go queen d5, I take it. If you push, I don't... What? Is that really a move? No, I have enough pieces, right? Am I crazy? I can't pin the... I'm trying to pin it. That's what I want to do. Yes. Oh my. All right. What a game. Oof. Video sponsored by Breaking 1500. I have to say that before I get into the analysis here. All right, let's take a look. That was, whew. This will be an interesting one to review. 79. Yeah, I didn't feel like we did have a brilliant move, which is nice. Let's see what the brilliant move was. I don't actually. Oh, it's bishop takes h7, of course. All right, so let's see. If bishop takes h7 was brilliant, that means that was a good move. And maybe the mistake. Oh no, yeah, it was a good move, and the best line was a draw. So we analyzed it correctly, I think. And according to Stockfish, we should have just taken the draw. Check, 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 draw. Cool. Now, the question is, how bad was my move? Ooh, minus. Let me just do this so you can see the eval there. Minus 1.9. So it's really not that good for me. And black's best move was taking right away here. Interesting. Because that almost looks like it's really bad for them, but you have rook f7. And I'm not in a position to take advantage of it. So that's what black was supposed to do. Wow. Okay. Did they let me back in the game here? Bishop d2. The best move was e4. Wow. What? e4? Why? Why? Oh, bishop h6. Look at this, guys. Amazing. Stockfish is nuts. Didn't see that. Okay. So bishop d2 takes rook f1. Yeah, it's still slightly better for black, but I'm hanging in there. And then it got tricky and the time pressure. That's what happened. They messed up in the time pressure. Yep, and now I'm just slightly winning. Oh no. Bishop f4 first. Okay. And then here the blunder. We go into the winning endgame. Wow. Good game. Oh man, that was fun. That's a good one to stop on. 23-11. That's a good one to stop on. All right, guys. A couple of hours for breaking 1500. So if you want to join, now's the time. Any questions on the course? Enrollment closes in 33 minutes. No, it's a little bit longer than 33 minutes. We changed it from Eastern time to Pacific time because I was confused. That was my fault. Initially, I was thinking Eastern time was like everybody in the United States would have a chance to buy it until midnight. And then I was like, wait a second, that's backwards. It needs to be Pacific time. So we changed it to Pacific time. So yeah, you have a few more hours. So, Tungsten, you have the course. You're excited to dive in. Awesome. Appreciate you. Hey, thanks. Thanks for all the comments about the game. Appreciate it. Yeah, that was pretty good, right? We put the pressure on, and they had a hard time, with the time pressure to defend, which makes sense. I mean, that's a really tough position to play, especially from black's perspective, defending against all the different threats like that. Very difficult to do. Gary says the course is great. Switch into a glass. Thanks. Yeah, if you want more details about it, you just click the link. You can read the sales page. Just check it out. Don't have to buy it, but just at least check it out if you want to get more details. I hope that was helpful, guys. This was a fun little bonus stream. Some really good games tonight. I was feeling it. I don't know. I was feeling it. Maybe it was because I was playing these new openings. Must be something to that. What age was I when I was 1500? That's a good question. Let me think about this. So I started playing tournaments when I was 9, and my first rating ever was like about 900 out of my first tournament. And then it went up pretty quickly over the next couple months to like 11 or 1200, I think. And then maybe it was like a year or two after when I would have hit about 1500 roughly. So probably around 11 or 12, I think. And then I think I went from 1500 to 1700, maybe in another year. And then I got stuck at 1700 for a little bit. And then, yeah, it kind of went up from there. I think when I hit like 2000, 2100, I was stuck there for a while until I went to college at UTD and hung out with a bunch of grandmasters, and then finally got over 2200. But yeah, I was stuck at 2000, 2100 for a good amount of time. What's up, Finley? Hey. Okay, I'm not seeing too many questions, so if nobody has anything else, I'm gonna let you guys go. And yeah, I'll see everybody inside the course. I know a lot of people are inside there already, and I'm pretty active responding to stuff in there. And we're gonna do the group coaching calls over the next like 3 months. So I'll be doing that. Hey, thanks guys. Lots of really good comments. I appreciate it. All right, guys, take it easy. Have a good night. Thanks, everybody. Really fun games. And the lessons, I think, were pretty helpful, too. So if you're just getting here late, I would recommend going and checking out the lessons earlier. We did some cool tactics stuff, the crooked path endgame concept, and then we went through a game. So, all right. Good night, guys. Have a good one. I'll see you next time. Stay sharp. Play smart. Take care. And don't forget, stream was sponsored by Breaking 1500. It's open for a few more hours.